back. So, I appreciate you guys letting me know about the Stellaris mix-up there. So basically, in terms of what this game is about, I would say it's very much about sort of I think it's a tension that everybody can relate to in terms of your higher calling or that thing that you really want to do, whether it's a book that you want to write or a game that you want to make. And sort of working with the fact that you have kind of the world of the common day, that you have responsibilities and sort of demands on your attention that you can't really escape. But you also have, again, you have this deep passion and this yearning. One thing that's really interesting in this game is you can actually basically give up and have a life as a banker. And the game is it's not very judgmental about that fact if you decide to go that way. But again, one of the things that's so interesting about this game and why it really is worth checking out is that so much of it takes place in your head. What we're doing right now is we're going through these little scraps of lore that we have, and there's an entire world that exists in this game, and you're only ever granted a small glimpse at it. And so a lot of this game takes place in your head. You have all of these cards representing your sort of resources that you have, whether they're people who follow you or they're contacts who have information that you need or want to get information from you, artifacts that you've recovered from locations and such. Again, you're sort of this mastermind sitting at a desk, and the world is abstracted into all of these little cards. But I mean, this game has a wonderful sense of humor at moments. I can remember when I tried to do a certain ritual and I sacrificed a person, and what was actually required was a financial sacrifice. And so this awkward moment that occurs after that, that's a little less likely to happen now. The game tends to spit back things that just don't make sense. But yeah, this is a game which is very heavy on implication, and it's very rare to run into a game that doesn't that again allows itself to take place inside your head this way. So I'm really encouraged to share it with people, and I try to vocalize as much of that experience as I can. So carrying on, the Grail is an aspect that we're particularly interested in. It's our founding principle, the Order of the Bloody Cup, an occult society dedicated to the mysteries of birth, blood, and appetite. Now, I have a Ascension. I'm currently pursuing Sensation. Extensions and Eruptions is the nickname for the fifth mark. I have developed 2 new fingers, and only one is on my hand. I have a fistula in the crook of my knee. Pressure upon its edges is a soft glow of pleasure. I think that the bulge in the small of my back is a new organ. No, not a problem at all, Ben Skull. This game is coming out tomorrow, so I'd love to equip people to make a decision in terms of whether or not it's worth buying. If you do decide to pick this up, for the first week that it is available, you will also gain access to all of the DLC for life. It's the Perpetual Edition, which I'm playing right now because I was a Kickstarter backer. So I am very interested in talking about Cultist Simulator and trying to show people why I find this game so interesting. So the aspect of the Grail is fairly important to me. So we begin with the red secret. Some words are spelt correctly only when the proper ink is used. We've got the Megalesian incantation, the Great Mother remembers. There's a lacuna in the text, and we have the Thematic invocation. Raucous shrieks attend the passage of the names of the Grail. We reproduce them as best as we can for the pulsing power that they lend. Use this with a Byzantine tanked and moth influence or other resources of equal power to summon a raw prophet. Now, I've only got 2 forge at the moment, the Smith's Secret, and 5 continents. Smiths have whispered the same words to iron. Murderers have been known to whisper these words too, and adepts, of course. These words are spoken in ritual and inspire an unmerciful change. An ardent orison. When we watch a fire, what are we watching for? When we find it, these are the words that it will speak, a word that sanctifies the change that comes with when the seared skin peels. Sorry for the small moment of indigestion. A barber's warning. A power of the wood enjoys the separation from the lock from the scalp. For attention, burn it. For opportunity, bury it. Now, one thing that's important is a lot of this is quite arcane, but contained within these are little tips in terms of what your next step is. So, an Ecdysat's parable. The Ecdysat's, I'm going to need to look that up, riddle is what may be lost. Each Ecdysat's parable is an attempt to answer the riddle. And the Moldy Warp admonitions. Moldy Warp, he keeps her crowns in the moss and her feet in the dirt and the tree's locked jaw tight. Moldy Warp has these warnings for you. The aspect of the knock, sooner or later every locksmith has the dream. Now we recite its 7 phrases. Nearly every summoning rite requires knock influence, this lore will provide it. The consent of wounds. To open certain ways, one must first open oneself. The practice outlines that opening in the name of the mother of ants. A thunderous secret. There are common sentiments in every thunderclap. Let us acknowledge them. And the waking chant. Who could hear this and remain unmoved? The sleeping, the dead, the earth and the sky. Another instruction for a rite. We've got a Mansis glimpse, a snatch of poetry, a single memory of a certain house that all of us visit twice in our lives. For one's first visit to the Mansis, this lore is almost essential. This particular bit, it's only been 6 minutes. I was streaming for half an hour under the Stellaris category, but it was all dialogue. We haven't actually done any real gameplay yet, so you're just in time. I've got the unmerciful tale. Mercy, saith the watchman, is only found in shadow. And finally, we've upgraded a lot of our white, so the invocation of the ivory dove. There is a power that commemorates and grieves, from whom nothing is taken, but who cannot be deceived. You might expect to be able to crush him in your hand into bird bone fragments. So it's not bad that it's in real time, Ben Skull. So one of the things that I have been a little divided by, in order to read a lot of this stuff, I tend to put it on pause, but it is kind of nice if you get a little distracted. That's the point. It's this idea that you're spending so much time in your study that you neglect yourself, and it's definitely easy to have that sort of thing happen. Okay. I think we're gonna carry on with this. So this notoriety is gonna cause me some difficulty. Count Jennings, here's what he needs, a commission on Heart. So these commissions will be something that I can make some money off of, but in the meantime, I'm going to use Clovette, discuss occult business with a follower. And here, I'm going to add the cult, so... Oh, I guess it's not Heart. Significant conversations in a smoky meeting room. What do I need from a follower? Not everyone is sympathetic to our aims, but if we have problems with our reputation, our disciple can probably smooth them over. Yes, this is what I was looking for. Okay, so we've written a brief treatise on the secret histories, so my reason has been dimmed. I've used my mental faculties in order to be able to fulfill this commission. But Dr. Redeem will be satisfied. I didn't plan this too well, but... Oh, yeah, that's not going to let me stick it on top. Fair enough. And in the meantime, I think I'm going to combine my 2 knife secrets. I should have done that before the stuff... Oh, I don't think we got any money for that. I'll try it again, but I have a feeling that's a really good way to burn cash. And then as far as working is concerned, I guess I'll keep working on these commissions. We'll take the commission on the white. We will add 2 reason this time. And we'll add the lore. And here is the Mansis. So we're particularly visiting here in order to be able to get the occult scrapped. I bet there'll be a no pause speed runs if this game gains any traction. Well, Top Deck, I rather suspect the game will get some traction. One of the big things for me about the YouTube channel is I make no effort to promote it, and it gained a lot of natural attention from it. So I wouldn't, I'm sure Weather Factory has a better idea in terms of their prospects, but I have a feeling that if my nowhere channel can get this level of attention for the game, or from the game, I have a feeling that it'll be able to break the new and trending on Steam, and if that happens, then I suspect it'll have an easier time finding its audience. But you're absolutely right, Top Deck. I have a feeling that playing without pausing is going to be... I mean, people do that with FTL, so... How do you know where to put what? Well, Ben Skull, part of that is the game... Part of the game is actually figuring that out. I'm going to pause it for a second here just so I can read the lore and I can show you a little bit about how the game leaves some breadcrumbs. The game definitely gives you a bit of an on-ramp. This is well into a playthrough, so in this case the game tells you less directly and it tells you more sort of through the bits of lore. But that's a bit what I mean in terms of playing out the game in your head, is that if you actually just look at it as you have all the information in terms of how you combine certain bits of information, there's not a whole lot there, like in the sense of just the game will have it'll be very rote in that situation. What makes this game so interesting is that it gives you just enough information that you keep reaching, but not enough that you have this cakewalk that you're just running through. Now, Half-Truth says, in your previous playthroughs, you exhausted all the books from the auctioneer fairly quickly. Did you find a way to refresh the books that you get from it? No, I believe the way that you get books, you get more books is through expeditions. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to the wood, even though I've passed through the white door and the stag door. And that's mostly because I want to get a nice little batch of occult scraps and the second level of lore in order to stock up on some items before going on some more dangerous journeys. You think it'll pick up in popularity? You found this channel through YouTube. Yeah, that's great to hear. And this is the important thing too, right? Like this isn't like the effort, for people to be, oh no, you're great. But like, I am a small fish in terms of streaming, and I kind of know where I am as far as a talent thing is concerned. So there's going to be a bunch of really talented casters who start covering this. And there's going to be a bunch of people maybe we've never heard of who play this game, but have a better way of presenting. And so the fact that the game is being released, I mean, I've been able to enjoy this kind of incumbency advantage because I was a Kickstarter backer and I'm already a caster. So the floodgates are going to open. I mean, people have already been able to have these keys for streaming, but people who love the game and stream it because they love the game are going to be coming in. These are going to be people who bought the game and want to share it with people. And I'm really looking forward to just people being able to share this and to be able to discuss, what do you think it means when this sort of thing comes up? It's really exciting. And I mean, again, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm going to lose all on viewers or something like that. But I do this for fun. Like, I'm really encouraged in terms of the feedback that I've gotten from people. And I think it'll be great for other people to be able to experience the community that's been built around this game. Oh, I don't think so, Ben Skull. I'm a little unfair showing you this part, but I'm going to show you a little bit about how the game helps you. So, entering the wood. I walked through the wood last night, and the scissors worked in the distance, and the furred things crammed my mouth and swarmed my ears, and I felt an old urge to drop to wolf fours and nose among the roots. But I remembered that I walk upright by day, and I know fire and steel and words. And at last I found where the velvet had concealed a secret on the tree bark beneath moss. I read it then, with the tips of my fingers, and I think that now that I could write it in full. So that's me just taking a little bit of lore out of the dream. So one thing I'm going to do with dreams. So what I've got right now, Ben Skull, I've got fascination. Light leaks through the cracks. My mind is brighter than it ever was. The higher I rise, the more I see. I also have some dread. I have seen too much. A nameless gnawing fear has its teeth in my hopes. An existential horror. So what I can say is like, okay, I've got dream. Rest, reconsider your priorities, or risk yourself in the exploration of the kingdoms of sleep. So one thing I can do is I can click here. So a direction for my dreams or a trouble to recover from. And it says here are the things that are acceptable. I can put an ability in here. I can put funds inside there. I can put way, so one of these things. I can put an affliction, ill health particularly, and I can put my desire inside there. Right? Doesn't seem that this will accomplish anything right now, but that's not always true. So this is aspect ill health, so I'm like, okay, I want to get rid of this fascination. So it says seek composure. The doors of vision swing wide. A little darkness will mellow my light. Even dread has its uses. So there's two things, right? I've been focusing on here, gray reality will steady my soul, but notice that the game actually highlights the cards that can go in somewhere. Now, when you have multiple cards, you don't know what's going to happen, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So the game doesn't just give you everything. I'm going to bid for this book again, but I have a feeling that I'm just going to be wasting my money. But yeah, the game... So the early versions of the game, I definitely think were a bit tough on you in terms of being able to make sense of it all. But now it's found the right balance of having just enough implication that you can't know everything that's going on. But it also... Oops, someone else matched my bid. I don't think I'm going to spend anything more than one. Okay, so it's gobbling up Mystique, which is not my favorite, but there we go. And so you get cards from cards from cards? Absolutely. Because each of these cards, basically, these are all verbs. These are actions that you can take on certain things that you have, right? So Mystique and Notoriety is my reputation. Let's see here. So this wants Erudition. And it's going to gobble it up, but I don't have it. Okay, so we've written an extensive treatise on the white lore. So I'm going to put my reason aside. So here's a great example about how you get a card. So I will take this thing away. So this is basically a document that I wrote for this woman, Poppy Lascelles. And then I just collect all because I just wanted them to go back to their old places. But in this case, I did that through working on those multiple cards. I'll do this again because I'd like to complete a commission on the heart. So I say, if I want all of this pink in terms of cards I can potentially put inside there, well, let's fulfill a commission on heart because that's what Count Jannings wants. And it says here that I need to have at least lore fragment 6, which I believe I do have. And finally, it wants reason to fulfill the commission. So I'm going to set that aside, put that in here. The air is curdled now. I am home again in the lumpen flesh. Better, perhaps. So I do have some dread, which I need to worry about a little bit. And I haven't won the auction, so I get my money back. I think I am going to go to Oriflamme's again just to see if I can make this book thing work. But we'll start. And yeah, in the meantime, so there are some things that the game will actually sort of force in terms of interactions. The game is very good at putting subtle and consistent pressure on you and providing... Yeah, Brother Goldberg's got a good description of this. For providing real satisfaction when pieces of the puzzle finally come together, like with Fallen London. The decision-making is perfectly intrinsic with the mechanics. Exactly. And that's... I think Brother Goldberg has put this a little bit better than I could, in the sense... Like, one of the big things for me, like when I say that a lot of this game takes place in your head... Uh-oh... Sickness. I become unwell. If illness cannot consume health, it will cause death. I always thought I had... Oh, no, that's not a problem. Sorry, it looked like it was going to tell me something terrible. This time the research has failed, but I've learned the lessons of experience. Oh, I think this wants more money. But yeah, so again, a lot of the experience is... I think a lot of the experience is lost if you just view it as like, okay, I'm going to stick a bunch of cards on top of each other and I have to know the right order. I think a lot of the experience is missed through that. But this game, I mean, I think one of the things I can say, I'm not fresh out of school, but I started streaming when I was in grad school. And so I have a lot of... I have a lot of love for the aha moment, that time where you're like, oh, I figured it out. And I can't really think of a lot of games that give you that experience of, working at a problem and realizing, that's what I was looking for the whole time. That's so interesting. Oh, did I already lose all my notoriety? My bad. Should have sent a moth follower after it. Again, I can't really think of a lot of games that accomplish that, and so it's a really special experience for me to have something like that happen. I wanted to do something with work. Oh, it was probably to get a creature. So let's take a minute here. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the rite of the map's edge. The vagabond is the only hour who never enters the Mansis. This rite must be performed in the right place at the right time, and the vagabond will take that rightness for her own. So I've got 2 edge here because of the dread. In this case, I'm trying to take sort of the negative and use it as an offering. And so if I use it with lantern, I might be able to attempt a... If I add knock, I might be able to attempt a summoning. If I add lantern or moth, I could enact a battle in my own soul. That sounds really cool. But in this case, let's go for the knock. And I can add lantern, heart, or winter. So winter will give me a servant from the sun and rags. Deep winter's cold to name and draw the maid in the mirror edge to match her keen cruelty. Meticulous, idealist. Okay, I think we're gonna start with this. Your favorite moments in this game was when you found out you could put your only cultist in your cupboard and make them a prisoner. You had no idea what it would do, but it was such a feeling of curiosity and discovered that you loved it. Then you died of starvation, which made it even better. Exactly. Like, it's a really important thing to be able to make failing worthwhile. I find failure in this game somewhat enjoyable. Okay, I'm going to start using these occult scraps to explore. I have no reputation to get rid of, unfortunately, so we'll set that aside. And I think I should start by trying to get rid of the... Where's my moth? I only have 1. Oh, there's another occult scrap we'll pick up. I think we'll just jump straight back. Oh, hang on. No. I think I'm just going to pay for my medicine, but I do need to find a better way of getting some cash. So let's start fulfilling these commissions. I should probably use a moth follower to get rid of the evidence, but I have what the doctor requested. This thing's got 511 seconds left. All right. So what do we got here? The thing that was a woman has no expression of her own. The movements of her eyes and mouth always match mine, as if I were looking in a mirror. Her fingernails are as sharp as glass. And so here's the maid in the mirror, an edge 10. Oh, so achievement unlocked, summon alien gods. The ascent is glass, the walls are knives, each step is blood. The dead who rest before... The dead who rest before the new cracked mirror, who stir through the peacock gate, who master in the sharp stare, those dead enter the service of the sun in rags. So this is a 10 edge, 10 winter creature that we've summoned. So what I can use it for, I can use it on an expedition, or perhaps the fact that this doctor she was laughed out of academia for her analyses of the alternate histories, and it only made her more resolute. Now she works with the Suppression Bureau. Perhaps I can use this maid in the mirror to get rid of this inconvenient person. Now I don't have any other influences for me to use at the moment, so we're not going to be doing any more summonings. Dr. Redeem has gotten his commission, so he's happy. I've gained some Mystique. I may want to get rid of that, but I'm not going to right now. Mystique doesn't have any aspect, so I can't use it in any kind of summoning. But what I am going to do is I'm going to arrange a meeting with my adversary, Dr. Natalia Dragon. And again, she's meticulous and she is an idealist. But in this case, I don't need to worry about her being immune to the creatures of the Mansis. But yeah, so one of the biggest things that I can say to people in terms of whether or not you're interested, send an unstoppable force to murder a hunter. Unless this hunter has some unusual protection, they are already dead, but their demise will attract attention. Ryan Step, thank you very much for that follow. I hope you're doing well tonight. So we've got the Forsaken Reach. Let's throw another occult scrap and search out. Again, this is just, I think there's 4 or 5 of these, and I'm just going to queue a bunch of them up so that we can get through them relatively quickly. So here, there's lots of different ways that you can deal with problems. There will be consequences for the fact... I've healed up. And let's go back to the wood. So the reason, there's a really important thing that I did here. So there's the wrong kind of attention. This city is rife with journalists and detectives and other meddlers. How long will they leave me in peace? So normally, the magnet will drag away the target. So the reason why I started with my adversary and then sent the maid in the mirror after my adversary was if I did it the other way around, they could be pulled out from this, and of course they might be able to use the tentative evidence. Brother Goldberg, thank you very much for that follow. So, it does sort of matter sometimes the order in which you do things. Now with this Mystique, I suspect I'm going to get another tail, but that's fine. I'll probably send something to murder them too. I'm safe now. The meddler's attention must be elsewhere. A relief. Yes. This is where their attention is, so I await word. Now, this game gives you lots of different ways that you can deal with your problems. So this one I decided that murder would be the best way because I have some tentative evidence. Here we go. The place behind desire. Is there something to be learnt from the satisfaction of desire? My minion has returned with a trophy. So I've gained some notoriety for that, as well as a human corpse. And so what I'll do is, because I don't want to have to deal with that, I'm going to send Dorothy, and I'm going to send her on a mission for the Order of the Bloody Cup, and we're going to use her to get rid of this notoriety. Alright, so we were upgrading our knife research, and what we've done here is it's consumed enough resources to be able to upgrade at another level. So, oh, this will be helpful. The human corpse will be consumed. And we've gained a glimmering for satisfying our desires. And we're back in the Mansis. So I don't particularly want the buzzing in the brain right now, and so I can go to the well or I can go to the Temple of the Wheel, but I don't know necessarily what I'm going to find in this dreamland. I am, however, going to get some more story to read to you, so let's go to the Temple of the Wheel and see what we find. And we gained a furtive truth for our trouble. So you summoned a ghost thing that went and murdered a doctor who was out to get you. Sounds a lot like is that Game of Thrones bit? Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. All right. In my sleep, I came to a high jagged rock, which is still called the Temple of the Wheel, though the hour called Wheel is long extinct. Another hand had scratched a secret in the black lantern on its flank. I burned that secret into my memory to preserve for waking. Before the velvet came out of the velvet wood depths, it erased it. The velvet is jealous of her secret. So this gave me a slightly higher level of lore. We gained some passion for our trouble. And we're going to go back to the wood. So the reason why I'm going for these little bits of secret histories is so I can explore the city and get more of them. Now this is a higher level, so I'm not going to get something like the Forsaken Reach. I'm pretty sure I'm strong enough to be able to tackle some of them, but I'm just trying to get... oh, looks like we've already been... Okay, I'm going to try one more occult scrap, but if I get the Forsaken Reach again, then I know that we've exhausted all of our first level ones, and I should be focusing more on furtive truths. In the meantime, though, I would like to go back to back through the woods, so... Nope, we're already running that. Have I ever played really in-depth board games? I really do enjoy those kinds, Ben Skull. I find it very difficult to find people to play with, but I'm very fond of GMT games, so I like Twilight Struggle. I have a copy of Next War Taiwan by GMT. Labyrinth, I think, is a really good game. That's by Volkorunke. So I would say yes, but I'm not enough of a board game maven to be able to, I couldn't tell you my favorite Avalon Hill game, for instance. But yes, I would say that I'm a fan. Alex the Rambler, thank you very much for that host. For those of you who were here for the Stellaris earlier, Alex the Rambler is one of the people on Paradox's YouTube Stellaris War. A really friendly guy. I actually met him in Vancouver. I've increased my mastery with the lore of the knife, which we call by its aspect edge. And this is Chiliarch's lesson. I'll read that out just because we didn't get to do that on the previous pass, but let me get the reason back. I don't really have anything else to study, I don't think. Oh no, I can combine the consent of wounds, so we'll do that. Now this is worthwhile, another mark, and when I'm done, the satisfaction is as deep as the moon in the sea. Another mark buds in me. So I've got this back up to level 6. That was pure coincidence. There was no major reason for me to pursue that, but the fact that I was eliminating the inconvenience of the detective was the main reason why that was helpful to me. But yeah, one thing I find helpful, Ben Skull, is some of my friends now have Tabletop Simulator, and obviously if you own the GMT games, there's the Vassal modules, which sometimes are helpful as well. But obviously one of the reasons why board gaming was really in danger of going away for a while was just the fact that it was so hard to find people to play with. I think in this case I'm going to go... I don't really need the money yet, so let's use a Furtive Truth. Odd nooks remain in the quiet countryside, here and there for those who know where to look. Alright, so I don't have any fascination, so I'll be okay there. And I think I'm going to start painting, so I'll use my wild imagination. Actually, I might be able to upgrade my wild imagination too. So I've got a peculiar rumor, which I don't think I'm going to use. Let's go to the well this time, and we've gained another Furtive Truth, which is nice. So the velvet is strong at the well in the wood, and the velvet is the hour that keeps secrets. But now and then she lets a little secret fall, like a crumb at a feast. Last night I found moss-clad rock written all around with the secrets of another history. I might give thanks to the velvet, but it will be wiser not to draw her attention. So there's the Furtive Truth. I've exhausted my passion, so we'll realign these. Back to the wood. People, basically easy ones like Epic Spell Wars, Uno, but you want to... It's always tough, Ben Skull. There's a really popular, I think it's a hilarious Onion article where it's, board game night quickly descends into reassurances that this will be fun. And I think that's a sad but very fair assessment of sometimes what board game night sometimes means. So in this case, I think it's a little bit of the soft sell sometimes, which is like when I try and get people into something a little unexpected, I try and layer it in a little way. Like I wouldn't start people with Next War Taiwan because that game is so complicated, even if you use the basic rules. But if I try, like with Twilight Struggle or something like that, if they're interested in the Cold War, I usually use that aspect. Or Arkham Horror, it's like if you like Lovecraft stuff, then chances are you'll like that. So, hey Stalker, good to see you. You never know, this might be a living. Add passion to make distinctive paintings, add mystique to, and especially notoriety to attract attention and make more money. Be careful if you use notoriety. Exhibiting paintings will keep you in the public eye. Not the smartest thing for me to do because I do still have tentative evidence, but in this case I am going to go for it, and we'll go for passion for the rest because what I was really hoping for... Thank you very much for that follow, Stalker. Would you consider doing a stream or just a tabletop? We did actually do a tabletop night on my birthday of Secret Hitler, but I will admit I have been thinking a little bit about trying some of the solo Labyrinth missions just to sort of try and introduce people to some of those types of games that I enjoy. I don't have a direct timeline for it because that's a little more complicated to set up than I am equipped for, but it is something I've considered. I'm still not 100% sure on whether or not it's viable, but yeah, it's definitely a good idea and one that I've been entertaining. All right, so this is going to be a little bit of a cheap move, but in this case, I can add something here. So I can add lore, I can add a follower, I can add an acquaintance, and I believe I can add the Maid in the Mirror. And what that'll do is it'll stop the countdown from going. So I'll paint them into our world, and perhaps they'll stay a little longer. So this game is this game knows exactly what I'm trying to do, and I'm mostly trying to make money off of this, but. How do you do, Johnny Big Time? Hey, you can chat. Indeed you can. No one understands us, or else they understand us too well. Oh, interesting. So we did not... we didn't actually accomplish what we were looking to do there. So I can either get rid of the tentative evidence using a moth follower, or I can try to get rid of the mystique. I could spend money on better paints, or perhaps I could find more exotic pigments. Tough call. I think I'm just going to spend the money on the paints, and hopefully we'll get the cash for the trouble. In this case, I think I'm going to use Clovette again with the Mystique. Quick question. You notice my YouTube videos, Mr. Anime Fan? Yes, I remember you from... Well, I don't remember the stalker name, but I definitely remember your comments. And when you start a new game that you have 3 options, but you've only ever seen me pick the 2, what's the medical looking one? Ah, well, that's why tonight is special. The medical one is the physician start, and I wanted to make sure that at the kind of the day before Cultist Simulator released, I always wanted to make sure that I had some content that was available, or that was like sort of hidden away from my stream until the actual, like, just before the game started. And one of the reasons for that is I still wanted to have some surprises for myself. Now, it turns out that there were 2 other legacies. So in addition to the physician, there is the detective legacy, which if you get arrested, you unlock. And then there are apparently 3 other ones that will be implemented in the game later. And they didn't implement them right away because they wanted to be able to focus more on some of those breadcrumbs to get, to help the on-ramp for the game. So there's going to be more stuff that's coming in. I can't obviously promise that I will be doing the physician tonight. The Van Damme Show, thank you very much for that host, and hello from the people from the Van Damme Show. You must have been streaming Cultist Simulator. I don't believe I've seen your name before. Well, did you stop before? We'll have one for each of the secrets. Sorry, I don't quite know what you mean by secret, Stalker. Could you elaborate a little bit? Karasham, drive through the downs of the coast where the gray-green land meets Atlantic gray. Search along the road for signs of Karasham town. You will rarely find it, even if you visited before, and its inhabitants guard their secrets with curse and cudgel and fast-bolted door. So let's explore this peculiar rumor. I think it's just going to get us notoriety, but... I'm nice in person. Oh, that's right, that's right. Dan Van Damme, yes. Kilgore wasn't lying when I'm an absolute jackass in his chat, but I'm a really nice person until you get to know me. So for those of you who don't know, Kilgore Trout, actually, okay, the red secret is for the Grail, the lanterns for them. I see what you mean, yes. It's very likely that they have correspondences because, of course, the Bright Young Thing has the sensation. Oh wait, no, the Bright Young Thing doesn't force you into sensation, but I believe it starts with Grail, whereas the Aspirant begins with Lantern. And I believe the Surgeon begins with Edge. And I don't know why I know that, because I haven't played it, but it feels right. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was another aspect behind it. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. And actually, I'm gonna do it in the most Cultist Simulator way possible. So Dan Van Damme is talking about Kilgore Trout. Kilgore Trout is a good online friend of mine. He's somebody who's now a partnered caster, and that is a very impressive accomplishment because the requirements to become partner are much higher than they ever were. So he did that at the time when it's the hardest to do that. He plays a lot of classic games, and one of the reasons I know him is that he is a member of the GOG stream team. And for those of you who notice the biography down below, I am affiliated with GOG. If you use those links, it does give me a little bit of the revenue into my own pocket. Now, next Monday, I believe. Let me just double check this. Yes, next Monday, there is an entry in the GOG schedule that I think a number of you might find particularly interesting. And I know you can find the GOG schedule on their channel, and I'm going to leave it to the rest of you to find out what that is. But I will announce it a little bit closer to the time. There's a couple things that I need to finalize, but I think you guys are going to be very happy with what you see there, if you can figure it out. All right, I expect that at the end of the story, I may find someone who will hear what I have to say. So very likely we're not going to encounter anyone, but I want to take the chance just in case it goes through. Now, the Dan Van Damme Show. Have you seen this game before? The Cultist Simulator. All right, we're back to the Mansis. I don't want another peculiar rumor because that may not pay off. Let's go back to the well, and we only had vitality, but we weren't really going to get anything else out of that, so I'm okay. I'm okay with that outcome. Again, I've exhausted my passion, but we will go back to the wood right away. A dream on the GOG schedule? Yeah. A few folks that you've covered as well. Excellent. Yeah, it's a really, I think it's a really interesting game. I'm very happy that I found it when I did. All right, so boatloads of mystique, good contentment, 1 notoriety, which is not always as good, but that should be handled by my follower. All right, we've exhausted our passion, and oh god, 2 notoriety. I didn't make money, right? Not as much as I wanted. Okay, well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to throw as much notoriety as I can into the problem. And I'm going to use the low-timed mystique, and that's just basically so that when this thing comes out, it's going to have like a lower, it's going to be the lower level. So these things are going to run down on their own, whereas this one's going to be frozen. Oh, that's excellent, Ben Skull. Let me know how that works out for you, by the way, because I personally haven't tried on Tabletop Simulator, but I really should. All right, we're going to do the same thing with the Maid in the Mirror, mostly just to kind of keep them in the world. And we gain the lessons of experience because we didn't have enough with the Consent of Wounds to carry on, so we'll... The proliferation of Mystique's going to be a little bit of a problem, but we'll see how this all turns out. And again, one of the important things that I'm doing here is I'm trying to... Alright, could spend... Well, this time actually, so... I'm going to try the Martensite Paste, just because this is an edge-based creature, so I want to do an edgy portrait of the Maid in the Mirror. Let's see how that works. Honestly, I'm only going through the motions. The quality of my work will no doubt suffer. Spring contends always with winter. Okay, so I'm going to need to find a dead body soon. Finished. Good work. This is work I can be proud of. With enough publicity, it will sell. My recent work is celebrated. My name is well known, and my work has done well. So... Oodles of Mystique. I've gained... Ah! Okay, so this is a way that I can gain influence. Not surprising that we got more notoriety for our trouble. And looks like I have lost the material, which is good to know. So it's kind of worth it. I mean, the money's something that I need, but it is worth keeping in mind that So I think what I'm going to do, anything Grail related, I'm going to keep to myself. And I think for the rest of it, I'm just going to continue optimism is the spice which saves. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a problem for myself. I think what I'm going to do, I'm okay, well, I'm not really okay for funds. Case of mistaken identity and notoriety. Okay. So I'm going to fulfill these commissions before I do anything else. Exploration-wise, we'll do another Furtive Truth. Now I can keep painting. The drawback is that's just going to inflate my my notoriety. So, well, I'll do Wild Imagination, but in this case, I'm going to put the passion inside there. I'm going to try and reduce the. The notoriety that I gain for the next little while. Yeah, I appreciate that, Ben Skull. If I seem hesitant in terms of committing to a particular time, it's just because I'm not entirely sure what my timing is going to be like, especially when I'm making my own some YouTube videos for all of this stuff. I'm definitely going to be a bit busier than I expected, but I am definitely looking to play some more complicated board games. So I think what I might do is when I'm ready to do that, I'll see if we can maybe host a special night and kind of invite people. This is one of the nice, I can sort of abuse my position as a streamer to do like a call for players, and we'll see if we can get something going. All right, so it's unlikely that I'm going to be able to satisfy my unusual cravings. I'm going to get the commission from Dr. Adim. I'm going to fulfill the ones that I already have. He wants Lantern, which I think I can satisfy. And then I can get my my heart follower to start dealing with some of this notoriety. All right, let's chuck a little bit of money towards that. How does Mystique work against you exactly? Is it involved with rivals and investigations? Yes, it can potentially generate a rival. It also will extend the time that they investigate. So what can happen here is, you know, you might not have any notoriety, but then an investigator starts looking into you and they extend their wait because of Mystique. And then all of a sudden, you generate some notoriety, and basically there's a magnet on the screen longer, which means it's more likely that you get caught. My recent work is considered significant. All right, let's see whether or not that causes me pain. Yeah, we still have notoriety. I'm assuming it's because I'm depicting the supernatural. It's okay for money. I mean, I've sort of netted out 2 funds from that. And I do kind of want to keep the maid in the mirror around. But I think there are some other things that I can do in that regard. So let's take the maid in the mirror. And we're going to get her on cult business. Yeah, Stalker got that, got it right. Okay, I'm gonna use this occult scrap one more time, but I think it's just gonna generate another Forsaken Reach for me. And if it is, then we'll burn through that really quickly and focus on our furtive truths. Okay, still have some passion, so we'll throw that in there. Kersham, eh? Okay, so it might be that I've exhausted all of my options in both of these locations. I seem to be getting the same thing over and over. The desert inside, unfortunately, we did lose our point, so the corpse that I'm gaining is not too helpful at the moment. And I think I'm just going to try and fulfill this commission, so I need a substantial work on Lantern. If I get into trouble, I can always sell my my Spinitra, but if I can avoid it, I'd prefer that. The main reason I'm not going back to Glover and Glover is because I have a lot of notoriety, and I'm going to lose my seat on the board if I keep up those shenanigans. So I don't know if the extra pausing that I'm doing is working for everyone, but it is allowing me to go a little bit more through some of the details. So one thing I will say, the feel of the game, I don't know if this is apparent through the playthrough. The level of polish that they've put on the final version of the game, absolutely superb. Like, just have the little colors indicating some things that you can do and things like that. It is hard to convey just how good it makes the game feel. Like, obviously this game is intended to be like indie to the core, but just because it's indie doesn't mean that it has to just be pixel art all the time, or like not look like they had a big budget. Like they really did put that last little bit of polish to make it something special. So and it's good, because I think one of the drawbacks is that anytime you look, okay, so I think it's safe to say that anytime we do the first 2 levels of lore, we're going to always get Kersham and the Forgotten Reach. You don't mind the pausing personally, especially not for explaining things. It's very restful. Yeah, I like to think I have some fairly good instincts on that, but it's nice to get, as always, it's nice to get feedback. Just because, you know, if I assume things, sometimes it's okay. So that didn't accomplish anything. I'm gonna try that again, but I don't think I can send it off to perform a task, it looks like. In the meantime, let's fulfill... Oh, I can't fulfill that, that commission because I don't have any forge. So I think once I get my summon back, I'm gonna go on a little journey. We'll take care of the Forsaken Reach. And as far as influence, I mean, I have Aspect of Moth, which I don't think is going to be too helpful for a ritual. Yeah, I can't use that. It's not an influence. Oh, but I do have Contentment, which is Aspect Lantern, so I think I can sacrifice a bit of my Contentment in order to perform a ritual. Alright, so I suspect I'm going to have to use Knock, or, well, I will have to use Knock, but how about we make that the icon of St. Agnes, which I think is my highest Knock rated. Okay, I'm going to leave the Contentment out for a minute just so I can see, and let's see, okay. Possibilities here if you add Lantern, Heart, or Winter. Well, we do have a little Lantern in this. And doesn't seem that we have enough, so carry on. We'll add the lantern that I've got here. I don't think I want to use the winter. Yeah, I don't have anything I actually want to... I don't have anything I want to off using this, so... I don't think any of these combinations are going to work for me. A pity. Alright, well, if I had the influence, it would be helpful, but I don't, so let's stop pretending that we can make something out of nothing. I'm just going to have the work go unused. Love the Twitter posts. They get you... Oh... I'm glad you really like that. I wasn't sure how popular that was because it didn't get a lot of likes, and I wasn't sure, like, that's definitely a little more blue than I like to go with some of my humor. If you guys can just forgive me for a minute, I didn't go to the bathroom before the cast, and I've been holding it in. I'm about an hour and a half in, so I'm just gonna ask for like 2 minutes of your time. And I will be back as soon as I can. Sorry about that, but I should have been a little more prepared. I'll be back as soon as I can. The aspect of... What aspect is this? The Red Grail? No, I think you should see a doctor if it's the Red Grail. Alright, I'll come back and tell you what the experience was like in a couple minutes. All right, sorry guys, I spilled my water just as I was leaving, so I needed an extra minute. Yeah, I appreciate that, Brother Goldberg. I normally have kind of worked it out when I'm streaming, but I was a little late getting started tonight, so I made the foolish decision not to go before I started. Yeah, anyways, less said about that, the better. That is Secret History, a winter. Winter's the end of all things, the end of that dinner. I'm gonna stop talking about any particular music. I actually just recently got a subscription to Apple Music, so I've been going through whatever recommendations it's been giving me. There was some really nice jazz piano that I was. So I'm curious if a Mystique will be picked up or if it'll be Notoriety right away. I think it'll be Notoriety, but. But I mean, I think I've had Sabaton playing on the cast before as well, so I'm usually pretty open to most things. But yeah, Stalker talking about wanting to play this game. I mean, so it's worth mentioning, guys. So one of the things that's hard, this is what I mean when I say a lot of the game takes place in your head. Like, one of the things that's so interesting about this game, and one thing that appeals to me so much, is that, like, I've been doing things in the game, right? I've been combining lore, and I've been, you know, sending creatures off to murder detectives and whatnot. And that has been something that is kind of like, I do that for its own sake, almost. And what appeals to me so much, like I've talked about this on previous videos as well, like I've got this section of books and there's some that I don't understand and there were a bunch that I do, and those books were turned into lore, into these little fragments. And I started streaming when I was in grad school, and I have a bunch of textbooks, like more than a few. That's funny you mentioned that, Ben Skull. I actually have I listened to all the Assassin's Creed. Actually, you must be referring to one of the tweets that I gave out. But like, yeah, I absolutely listened to a bunch of sea shanties, and I like them a lot. Like, I really like the song. I was happy to see it on the soundtrack because I listened to it before, but Fathom the Bowl is like one of my favorite drinking songs. So the fact that they included it in the soundtrack made me really happy. But yeah, so one thing that's really relatable for me in this game is this idea of you have these little fragments of the world and about what's really going on, but because so much of my day-to-day life involves research, and that was what I was focusing on. I mean, the difference is that before I had like midterms or whatever to do, or finals or something like that, a final paper. And now, my work is to do that sort of stuff. And I do keep sharp, and I still like reading these books. But the big thing is when you're doing active research, normally for the stuff that you'll get paid, well, at least in terms of my position in that, like, it's stuff that if there was an answer already, I wouldn't be getting paid to do it. Like, it's looking for things that people haven't been able to figure out. And so just like in Cultist Simulator, there's no hand holding. There's no sayings like, okay, the secret words past the white door are, you need to kind of work that out on your own. And you have hints, and the more time you spend with it, the more you can appreciate. But I think that's one of the things that I like the most. So in this case, like, combining some of this lore is an end in itself for me in this game. And, you could say, well, what am I trying to accomplish right now? Well, I mean, I'm trying to get this up to level 6, and I'm trying to get my Grail lore up to, I think, 12 or 14. And I'm trying to get through some more doors of the Mansis. So there's a few different things that I'm trying to accomplish here. But it's really worth mentioning that, like, the way I play this game is, like, I have this overarching goal, but what's really nice is at that macro level, or sorry, like, that's the macro goal in terms of, like, getting the this Ascension sensation taken care of. But the micro level is really interesting too. It's like, ooh, I've got a detective that I need to worry about. Maybe I'll send something to murder it. Or, ooh, I'm starting to get a little too much notoriety. Maybe I'm going to have to hold off on the funds for a little while. Or maybe I'll start doing these commissions. Like, a lot of these things are worthwhile tasks in and of themselves. And it's almost kind of like, on a given day, it's like I will feel a little let down if I don't get a certain number of Twitter likes, which is shameful to admit, but it's true. I think that's true for more than a few people. It's like the world's biggest MMO. So with that in mind, like whether it's a world-shattering goal, right? Like whether or not I'm renting a tuxedo for my prize ceremony in Stockholm, or something a little more mundane, like I really hope people laugh on this thing that I write on Twitter. This game sort of captures that experience, right? Some of the things wind up being a distraction, but because they're a convenient little loop or because they're fun to do, you hang out and do that for a little bit longer than you should. And so in this case, again, all of these things just wind up being these little glimpses into life, and you can always do a mapping from your own life to Cultist Simulator, which is something I always find satisfying because, again, I wouldn't normally think of myself as the dangerous leader of some kind of a sinister cult or some kind of like Lovecraftian villain. And yet I really can relate to Constantine, less in the, inheritance of a large fortune, but, just in terms of like getting a little sidetracked, maybe spending a little bit too much time at the Odisis Club or something like that. Yeah, there's each of, basically, Stalker, each of these, so this might be giving away a little bit too much, but so the game starts you off, like this one started me off with Grail, and so that was what I founded the cult on, but each of the cults in the game relate to an aspect, including secret histories. So you can found the Order of Saint Hydra if you want, and that's one of the things I like the most because it's what makes it replayable. This game is kind of like School, the original roguelike, in that you gain, so like if you think of a game like Risk of Rain or something like that, or FTL, you get new ships or you get new weapons as you continue playing the game, and you get better, basically. Well, in the case of Cultist Simulator, except for the detective legacy, the game doesn't give you anything new on multiple playthroughs, but what you get through multiple playthroughs is knowledge and intuition. And the really cool moment for this game, and this is why I really encourage you guys, if you even think you might be interested in this game, pick it up. And I definitely encourage you guys not to go to wikis, or like if you stream it, like encourage people not to do any kind of backseating. Because what's really cool about this game is once you start getting intuitions about the world that they've written, and it works, it's just this moment like, okay, I kind of get how this is all working together. And it's very hard to describe. Like I said, I'm not going to say that Cultist Simulator is equal to like the breakthrough on like a thesis that I had to write or something like that, where it's like, oh my God, I just found something so cool. But maybe something just slightly to the left of that, like just to be able to say, it's like, I kind of think how this should work, and like not to be able, like, just to have that dream logic, something that has been created by a person, and a person who's actually, very friendly and very easy to get along with on Twitter or email. If any of you guys have submitted a support request or something like that, you'll know that Alexis Kennedy and Lottie Bevan are two really nice people, and on top of the fact of being really talented game designers. But to know that a person wrote this, but you're getting just enough knowledge of this weird world that you're able to have intuitions and be right about it, is a really exciting moment in this game. And it's really hard to communicate. It's something you have to experience. And that's why I think this is such an interesting game, because how many games can you really say made you experience something? I like the Assassin's Creed games, but they're a little bit like movies. I kind of vicariously live through the character, whereas Cultist Simulator, I actually get to be this person at the table. Oh, hello from Stockholm. I didn't know where you were from. Yeah, very true, Brother Go Drat. Well, I can see if I can do a ritual with this. I'm still not 100% on everything I can get out of that. Who do we have? The Weary Detective? All right, well, we've got an easy way of getting rid of Weary Detectives. So this ticker has been running down. They know what I want to do. Perhaps we could parlay, or perhaps I could send something to ambush them. In the meantime, let's get a quick ritual done with the awareness of appetite. So summon something. Grail is the aspect of appetite, blood, and birth. If I add knock, I might be able to attempt a summoning. Or if I've grown decrepit, then if I add forge, perhaps I can renew my body. Well, I haven't grown decrepit, so let's put the icon of St. Agnes in. There are more possibilities here. If I add moth, I might contact something shapeless. If I add forge, I might contact a seductive savage power. Moth is my better one, I think. So I need a great power of Grail, significant knock, and some forge. Well, I'm limited on Grail, so let's see what we get from Moth. Oh, damn it. Looks like I don't have much in terms of options, but I believe there was... I think there was another one that had a little bit of knock in it as well. Okay, well, let's try Moth here. And... oh. Big Grail. Okay, so significant intensity of Grail won't help me there. If I put Big Moth in, I still need the knock, so that's not going to work. Okay, I don't believe I can make these work with a level 2 Grail. A shame. It was funny, a Monopoly game about greed was, yes, it was a Georgist bit of propaganda. Well, not propaganda, but you know what I mean. That is very true. And I don't know if it was because, this is the interesting thing about Monopoly is, was it because the Great Depression happened and people wanted to feel different about their circumstances? Was that the reason why it became so popular? Or is it the fact that people genuinely like to be like the landowner and sort of achieve those goals, if you will? Is it something about, like, is there just something about the way that people are that they enjoy that experience more, and that's why the game instead became about being the jerk landowner? Or was it the fact that people got to sort of live out that fantasy? I've never quite been able to put my foot down one way or the other on that. We're going to be going on an expedition in a little bit, but I want to deal with the Weary Detective if I can first. Ideally we'll capture him, but I'm pretty sure the spirit's gonna kill him. My minion is returned with a trophy, so we've got a human corpse, and I've got some notoriety for my trouble. Not great, but we will go to the Forgotten Reach. We'll start with the Maid in the Mirror, and in this case I'm just going to send along a... well, I don't want to send a Sturdy Disciple. I think I'll send the Knock Disciple because I've got a few of those, and we'll toss some funds in for the trouble. This will again give me some notoriety, but... the law does not touch this decaying fringe of the city. The mud here has claimed many lives, and there will no doubt be some wretched criminals or other layering in this warehouse. Expeditions need at least 1 funds per obstacle. Followers will defeat obstacles. If you run out of funds or followers, the expedition ends. Yeah, well, I think Ben Skull... so I come from Vancouver. So part of the appeal... of Georgism there is that you have people who have benefited tremendously from the inheritance of land, and you can't really say that they're using the land for productive use, they're just sort of sitting on it and watching it appreciate in value. And so the idea here is that such a tax would get people to basically use it. Like, chances are what would happen is someone would sell it and some developer would use it in a slightly more productive way. But you're right. Like, it seems like a very unusual way to do it. And obviously we live in an age where I think a lot of landowners would complain quite rightly that, you know, a lot of modern technology. So if you run an Apple store, like, there's a lot of money that you make per square foot, but you still need to have a physical location. People want to go and buy something there, or a grocery store. Whereas, you know, Tinder or Facebook, like, yeah, they have offices, but obviously they're generating a lot of economic activity. There's a lot of value added, which we tend to tax. And in this case, people would say it's like you're prioritizing these, you know, these industries that are creating these, you know, these digital things. Whereas, you know, if you have to exist in the real world. So like Best Buy would say, we already have a hard enough time paying rent. And now you're saying that Amazon doesn't pay for anything but its warehouses. And we need to pay for all the square footage to bring our products to people. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not entirely sure that's a knockdown argument against Georgism, but that gives you an idea of some of the tensions that are going on there. I will admit, I'm not a big labor economics guy. I did more political economy, so. Yeah, well, that's just it then, Skull. Like, it's, I am going to try one more occult scrap just to make sure that my hypothesis that I'm always going to get the Forsaken Reach is correct. And I think what we're going to start doing now is we will go to the White Door. And for that ascent, I will use my health. Alright, all shall be opened. When we open a thing, then we learn its nature. I've deepened my understanding of the lore that opens, which we call by its aspect, knock. So this is one of my highest lores that I have. Serpents are the visitors which may not be denied. Nearly every summoning that right requires knock influence, and this lore will provide it. And in the meantime, let's talk to Dr. Redeem to finish our commission, and we'll get some new ones as well. And I can probably send a minion to deal with this little bit of notoriety, although this human corpse will decay into notoriety as well now. I don't have anything else that I can combine that I want to, so. Alright, so Bronze Speditra. And some Mystique and Erudition for my trouble. Let's think. We'll talk with Poppy. Whoops. Did I actually read the formula? I don't think I did. Oh, yes I did. Serpents are the visitors which may not be denied. Alright, so I think we're okay for... the hooligans. Well, actually, I'll add the Sturdy Disciple. That'll give us more. But I need to start adding some Lantern, otherwise I'm going to run into trouble. Here's what she needs, a commission on Knock. I can do that. So we'll talk with Count Jannings for another commission. I'll fulfill Poppy's commission using my reason. And our fancy new Knock lore. Oh, treacherous ground, sticking mud, tricksy fishers, the earth is hungry. We need Lantern to show us the way or Forge to make one. So the Mad Guard, who is the hour of Forge as well as winter. Her power might quiet the unsteady earth. Will probably be fine. What's political economy is actually one of the original names for economics. So like if you read Alfred Marshall's book, he calls it political economy. Modern political economy is sort of this, there's two elements to it. One, it can be the economic study of political institutions. So I've got a couple of books on sort of the economic analysis of constitutions and such. And the reason this is important, there's a really good book by Darren Acemoglu and Jim Robinson. Acemoglu's at MIT, Robinson's at Harvard, so some pretty heavyweight guys. And they talk about how much of the source of, let's say, the U.S.'s wealth relative to a country like Mexico stems from its institutions, and those institutions which were largely brought about in terms of its colonization and founding. So if you take something like the United States, which couldn't use the Spanish model, which was basically to go into an area, exploit the local indigenous population, get them to work in mines and extract resources. Basically in North America, they tried that and they got their asses kicked. So a bunch of colonists came over and worked the land, and they wanted property rights. They wanted sort of the work that they were doing to be respected. And so, like, one of the examples that they give is the difference between these two countries and the split. Like, you can look at some cities which exist right on the border and the relative levels of wealth. And the idea that when you have institutions, it creates quite a bit of prosperity. When you don't have them, it's actually very hard to steer the country in a way, because essentially what you get is a bunch of people who are trying to, like, topple each other for that top job where they kind of get to exploit a lot, and they get to put a lot more of that into their pocket. So in their case, they are studying economic growth through a lens of political economy in terms of how the society is shaped and its political institutions and such. One of the profs at my school, Francesco Trebbi, just did one on the structure of the Chinese political system. So obviously there you have the Communist Party, but there are different factions within the Communist Party. And what's really cool about his paper is it made a prediction in terms of what a vote split would be, and I believe it nailed it for the last party Congress. So political economy studies a lot of things. Another really interesting political economist is Claire Lim. I believe she's at the Hoover Institution right now, and she took a look at the judiciary. And a really interesting paper that she did was to take a look at the behavior of elected judges versus appointed judges. And you definitely see that there is a different set of decisions that are being made by elected judges, especially Democratic Party judges tend to give harsher sentences. And I think that was found also when they were, like, close to re-election than their Republican counterparts. Whereas the appointed judges had different ones. So it's a really interesting implication, right? That if the selection method of your justices lead to different outcomes, we tend to expect that judges will give these impartial results, but there are obviously considerations that are being made in terms of getting reelected and such. So it's a pretty broad field. It's definitely a very sexy field, in my opinion. And there's some big heavyweights like Kenneth Arrow, who sadly died, I think it was last year. It might have been this year, actually. His work on social choice and things like that. Political economy has a lot of different aspects to it, and it's all super interesting. For me, I mean, again, I'm a nerd who reads econ textbooks and then talks about them in his cult video games, so. All right, glimmering was not exactly what I was looking for out of that, but entering the White Door, the sun in splendor, the hour who once ruled the Mansis was known to walk in the orchard before his terrible division. Sometimes his remnants walk here still. Sometimes I can see the chilly radiance from the Meniscate through the trees, or the chillier radiance of the sun in rags. Were they to come upon me, it might be the end, but to see them in the distance is a gift of insight. So I'm a little fatigued for my adventures on the way of the White Door, but we're going to continue on, because I didn't really get anything that I wanted out of that. And I'm a fairly robust individual. I'm not quite sure where I got my 5 health from, but I'm really happy that I have it. Well, I think the expectation is that judges would make these impartial decisions. But arrow impossibility theory, absolutely, Rufus. So somebody here has studied econ. I used to be able to do a proof of that. I don't think I can anymore, but John Giannakopoulos has like a really elegant one. I'm pretty sure that's in Gel and Renee, if any of you have that textbook and are into econ. Well, thank you very much. Almost 4 a.m. You should go off to bed. Well, it was great to have you in here. I know you came from YouTube. This will obviously be on the channel like everything else. I really appreciate a lot of you guys for hanging out, because again, it's the last chance that we're going to be able to play this while I have some degree of exclusivity. So it's really cool to have so many people stop by and to be able to share the game. And I hope you guys do pick it up and enjoy it yourselves, because as much as I mean, as I've always said, right, I like playing this game a lot, but I like sharing the game even more. And so if hopefully this game speaks to you the way that it did to me, and you guys get as much fun out of it, because I would really love to see Weather Factory continue down this path. I'd love to see it get more DLC than they already have planned. And obviously that sort of stuff happens when there's enough people to support it. And even if it's not your cup of tea, if there's someone in your life who you think would enjoy it, whether you buy it for them, whether you let them know, it's a great time to get into it, because the DLC will be included in every purchase that's made in the first week. Not a problem at all, Panther. I hope you have a great sleep, and again, never hesitate to speak up in chat, or expedition continues. Our expedition plans for the next challenge. It'll consume funds. I can add funds now, or I can send another follower. I'll hang off on that for now. Yeah, don't hesitate to speak up, whether you want to just say hi or whether it's in chat, however you want to communicate. How much longer do I plan on streaming this tonight? Well, I'd say we're probably about the halfway mark, so I'll probably stream at least, let's say, 10:30 is a tentative end. I usually try to get at least 3 hours in. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes I have other demands, and I will let you know I'm actually going to be recording some YouTube stuff immediately after this stream. So if I'm eager to run away, it's just because I know I have some other things that I want to be able to do. But I also want to do right by you guys in terms of this is definitely one of the larger audiences that I've had for the game. So I'd love to be able to give you guys your money's worth as far as the experience. Sadly, I don't have an uptime command, and it might be defaulted Nightbot, and I need to enable it. I've never been able to find it, so. But this current clip has been about an hour and a half, and I was streaming for about a half hour before that. So I've technically been streaming 2 hours, but I'll try to make it so that I do. Well, no, an hour away. You know, okay. You've got me at least for an hour, but I traditionally have gone overtime on this. So. What YouTube stuff do I do? Because it seems very hard to find out about my channel on YouTube. Well, YouTube is just right now it's just a dumping ground for my VODs. So I don't have anything written. Thank you very much for that follow. Earnest speeches, affable conversation. No one understands us, or else they understand us too well. All right, so didn't lose the notoriety, but we can try that again. So YouTube right now is just a dumping ground for these videos, and the main reason for that is I moved across the country. I used to live in Vancouver, now I live in Ontario, in the capital. So this is translated into a number of people who used to watch me quite regularly. They would basically, they wouldn't be able to watch anymore. So I was pretty careful to make sure that I uploaded my stuff to YouTube pretty regularly. But now that more people have been following me on YouTube, I'm going to start trying to do some more dedicated Cultist Simulator things. And what I really want to focus on right now is at the beginning. I think there's always that level of uncertainty as to whether or not the game is for you, and also particularly how do you answer the question, like, what do I do if I get stuck? So I've been playing this for a while. Most of it has been on stream, so I haven't made as much progress as some other people have. But I think I have enough that I can say in terms of why I'm interested in the game and how I think people can appreciate the game themselves. And I just think to do something nice and concise, like little 2 or 5 minute videos to try and push people over the edge and turn that from like an uncertainty into a purchase, I'd love to do stuff like that for this game. Because I think it's a game, the virtue is there's really nothing like it, but that makes it very hard to market. Like, I'm not entirely sure how I would convince somebody that, like, no, like, you put these cards into things and it's, like, really cool and it blows your mind. Like, sometimes you have to be there. So I want to try and do some things that will help people make an informed decision in terms of whether or not the game is for them. Any specific ones you should watch, in my opinion, that would help you get to sleep? Whew. Any ones where people don't backseat game me. I don't have any recommendations along those lines, Ben Skull, but perhaps if somebody in chat has some opinions on that, they might be able to help you. Okay, so I need to go through my Forgotten Chronicles at some point. Last night I walked in the orchards of lights. I plucked the fruit, which is always ripe, and consumed it in 2 bites. The taste is not to be forgotten. As I licked the glowing juices from my fingers, I saw the message carved in the bark of the tree. When I woke, I recorded that message, all I could remember, in my diary. I think Johnny Big Time has had some of the best lines in terms of like my experiences with backseaters, and I really try. I used to, so people used to really like it when I would like rip into people. And once I've started playing games, especially when people have given me keys, I don't like doing that because it turns a potential audience for the game off. But especially in the case of Cultist Simulator, the really important thing to remember is that the experience of the game is one of learning. And if people just straight up tell you how to do stuff in the game, it really hurts the experience, because part of it is just that moment of discovery and the excitement that you get when you finally figure it out. Why the white door, not the stag door? So the reason I'm doing that right now, Caden, is just to get, I was doing a little bit of a collection in terms of secret histories. It looks like I've already taken my 1 and 2 level ones, so I just wanted to get a nice little collection of Forgotten Chronicles, and I just find I have a little bit better luck with Forgotten Chronicles. Also, one of the important things is depending on which ascent I take. I can't remember which one the stag door. I think the stag door requires reason. So depending on, if I was doing research, for instance, I might be more willing to use the white door. The reason for that would be I can give up health a little bit more regularly, whereas if I was in the middle of research, which obviously I'm not right now, I might want to keep that reason set aside in order to accomplish a particular goal. At the beginning, I was actually doing the wood, and that was, again, just so I can get the occult scraps. Although I know in the game now they've added the ability to sort of subdivide lore, but to me it seemed a little bit simpler just to go through the way of the wood, get a couple of extra occult scraps just to see what was going on, then, take some Forgotten Chronicles, break them apart, and say, oh, I actually needed those, so. The Watchers guarding the crates, sealed with thief-signed ribbons. This was not a lawful operation. The owners of the cargo may not be pleased with our meddling. Alright, so more notoriety for my trouble. Made in the Mirror is still alive, so that's good news there. And got some money for the trouble. I've got another Byzantine tinct, so I can do some more painting with that if I really want. And Graydon oil, I think that's a pigment. It's definitely not a tool. Alright, that wasn't too exciting of a trip, to be totally honest, but we'll go again. This is one that I know reasonably well, so I believe actually that's a good question. I think the baddies that I encounter are the same. So in this case, I'm going to make the most of the Maid in the Mirror. In this case, I'm going to put Laidlaw in there because I'll probably, if I do encounter the same problems, I'll need the Forge to deal with them. So, and I no longer have a corpse to deal with my problems. So. We'll lose another element of our ambition, but I'm not too upset about that, just because I don't have any immediate use for it. Alright, let's go to the Lodge of the Sage Knight this time. Well, erudition. It's not great, but we'll work with it. I should think a little bit. I guess I don't really need to go to the White Door anymore. If I've got my Furtive Truths and I've got enough Forgotten Chronicles, I probably should be going back through the Stag Door at this point. So in my dreams, I know the path to the stag door through the maze of bounds. Girby will let me pass, but the path is always a puzzle. I will need reason. So in this case, I'm going to see if I can use knock. Aha, we've got the spider's door now. In dreams, the silken sands are the place that whispers. Gray grains sift. Weeds quiver. I know the words that open the wind, so the sands will permit my passage. Okay, so for whatever reason, I'm not able to spike this notoriety anymore. I'm going to try this with Clovette again, but I might be running into the limits of my ability to eliminate notoriety. Right, let's add Tristan. We invoke the Madrigard. An hour of the forge as well as winter will make our own path through. Success is certain. Alright, so my Ascension should be down to 4 now. I think that's the lowest it can get. It might go down to 3 now that I think of it, but... And let me think. So this notoriety will go away. If the worst thing will be is if this actually gobbles up the 42 notoriety here, but... Approaching the spider's door, the sands drain away like water, and beneath is stone from which gods arose so long ago. Ahead is the door, glistening like the rain, its black surface beaded with blood, each drop heavy curved like a swollen tick. Alright, so we got what we needed out of that. I believe the spider door requires a prisoner to go through. In my dreams, I found my way to the spider's door, sometimes called the Bloody Gate, or more informally, the Wrong Door. So I'm not going to try to go through that right now. Instead, I will use my reason to go through it. All right, you've narrowed it down to CK2, Return of the King playthrough, The Beholder, Alpha Centauri, Chaos Reborn, War Tile. All excellent choices. I would say... So, Return of the King is really old. Alpha Centauri, I think people really liked that one a lot, so that's probably the best recommendation. I don't remember Beholder that well, and I'll put the Sturdy Disciple in just to push the edge. And then Chaos Reborn and War Tile are obviously strategy games, so those are usually pretty calm. Absolutely, Kalishtar. It's funny, if you guys like Alpha Centauri, I recommend that you check out Soren Johnson's Designer Notes stream. He interviews Brian Reynolds, the designer, on Our Strength is Matchless. The Watchers will regret standing against us. Optimism is the spice which saves. Okay, I'm going to use Clovette one more time to get rid of that notoriety, and I might start getting some corpses for myself. Although I guess that'll turn that back into notoriety, so that's kind of stupid of me. We'll see. So for those, if you guys like that, Soren Johnson, designer of Civilization 4, interviewed Brian Reynolds, and Brian Reynolds does not necessarily have that positive of a view of Alpha Centauri. He thinks that the game was a bit overrated. I respectfully disagree, but it's really interesting to hear his perspective on that. Just a pain as they're all names after the stream name, so it's quite confusing finding what you want. Yeah, I know. I do tag them now, but a lot of the old stuff is just, yeah, you really have to know what the game looks like on the previews. Because again, like, all of this was just to make sure that I had an archive. Like, I really did not put any particular effort into preserving them, which of course now is kind of coming back to bite me, because you know I didn't think that you know they'd really be wanted. I sort of thought that they'd maybe be I would want them, but I could always find them on my own. Okay, I'm gonna use this Knife's Edge just because, to get the Furious Air, anger is implicit in every shape, a 10th order influence, a gathering knot of power and peril. This can be used in some rites to summon minions. So I've got some reasonably powerful options here. So for instance, I can put a powerful knock inside, and in this case I need Lantern, Heart, or Winter, and we'll see what we can summon out of this. So we can't do Behind Mirrors, Heart or Winter, so we've got level 4 Heart, so we can't bring that in. The division bell, I bet, is going to give me... That's like a level... Oh my god, that's a level 12. So a little more edge in a court. Well, I don't think I can do anything about the... With a little more winter aspect, a little more edge, and a corpse. Yeah. My vaunting ambition. I'll be honest, I've never quite been able to work out where the corpse fits in with these things, but okay, let's see what's going on with let's say I put my knock inside. So if I say I want lantern, oh yeah, I can bring in the sharp edged lantern thing. I just think I did this in the wrong order. What are a corpse's aspects? I need to bring one up again. I don't remember offhand, and I think they might have changed in the new patch. But obviously here it doesn't really work because you need, like, the work tile needs the right. The offering will only take influence. The instrument might be a corpse. So, like, obviously if a corpse is a tool now, but I don't recall if it was. I don't know. Next time I get a corpse, we'll find it. I have a feeling there will probably be more corpses, but a hint was once a living mortal and then a dead one. Now it's something else. Their summoning requires lantern for the light which drew them to the Mansis, and edge for the striving they've endured in the mirrors. Sadly, I don't remember the summonings too well, but the game is merciful enough in terms of its hints. All right, my fluids thin, my flesh desiccates, my changes uncoil, my passions dim. I am becoming less than I want. So we're down to level 3. The red grail has warmed me. Its thirsts have begun to dry my mouth and itch my hands. I know this to be the 3rd mark. So we'll worry about getting that mark up a bit later. Delayed delivery, a barred door, a cramped space, a hidden cargo. I'll worry more about, like, feeding those earnest speeches, affable conversation. The standards of daylight society cannot apply to us, but perhaps we won't emphasize that point. Perhaps we'll rely on charm and good humor. I have supplied elegant platitudes about the high principles of our organization. So I should study my health so I can get some vitality to recover that. Looks like this was a great time to do that notoriety. I think we'll dodge an investigator on this. And let's go through the Ascent of Knives. Alright, so shame that we didn't get the secret history, but I visited the Ascent of Knives last night, that harshest of roads through the house. It has been sacred to the Meniscate and the sun in rags since the intercalate, where the true sun was divided. When I woke, my room was freezing. The chill of it had cracked the window glass. The bitter atmosphere, winter passes the clothes, passes the skin, nestles in the veins. A 10th order influence, a gathering knot of power and power. Yeah, we've read that. All right, so there's my reason. Stag door, I think we'll just go through that. I'll do one more through the stag door, but I'm gonna need to heal up at some point. What else do we? No, I actually, Ben Skull, if you haven't checked it out, there's a role-playing forum on the Weather Factory Discord, if you're into that. I don't do a lot of RP stuff, but that doesn't mean that I dislike it. It's just not, I couldn't quite commit. Which is funny, because I always do silly voices whenever I play RPGs. Alright, summoning a rebellious spirit. The summoning is struggling against my control. I could use reason to dismiss it safely, which is always reliable, or I could try to reassert control with passion, which is not reliable. Or I could let what will happen, happen. Well, something tells me I don't want that thing running around on its own, so I will contend for mastery. The things from outside this world have many weapons, knives and riddles, fire and despair. I have weapons of my own. This will usually, but not always, work. And let's see our booty. Alright, I really need to work on funds, so I've got cracked moonstone. Noon, as the saying goes, is not what it was, but this stone still retains an embery glow. It has been cracked. A forge-aspected follower could restore it with sufficient resources. Or I could use up what power remains in it. Well, it's interesting that a forged disciple can do something about that. Oh, I have just condemned myself to an unwanted visitor. And we will collect all. So, how much time do I have left on the Maid in the Mirror? I suspect that I won't be done in time, so let's do our last Forgotten Reach. That'll be the last that we do there, because it looks like we're just getting artifacts. It doesn't look like we're actually getting anything else out of this. We'll add Laidlaw and a couple of funds. So yeah, the real dilemma is where I'm going to be getting money from while we go on this adventure, because I can't sell stuff at Oriflamme's. But I'm okay with that, because what I'm going to do here is once I'm done this work, I'm going to paint to solve that. Is there anything else that can go into the effort slot on the ritual? I believe you put your reason or your passion. And if you guys haven't noticed, if you click now, you get helpful little highlights for that as well, which is a touch I'm really fond of. I'm safe for now. The meddler's attention must be somewhere else. A relief. Alright, so I'm actually going to keep this notoriety around because I would like to increase the value of my painting. So let's see what we can do with a forge. Craftsmanship. My disciple can probably earn funds in illegal laboratories and shadowy manufactories, but there's a risk of accidents. Well, I don't like the sound of accidents, but let's see what this does. So this doesn't do what I thought it would do. I thought it might give me an opportunity to repair the cracked moonstone. That's really interesting, Ben Skull. Uh-oh. Your escaped summoning haunts the district, seeking mortals to devour. So Ulcair of the Way of White is up for lunch. My summoning has escaped my control, where it will wreak havoc, no doubt. Alright. So as much as I would love to use all of this cool stuff for another ritual, I need money, and a great way to get some money would be through painting. So I'm going to put my notoriety in there right away. I'll throw my passion in next. And I will use the bitter atmosphere as my inspiration. Oh, not at all, Ben Skull. It's one of these cases So sometimes there will be like there's like the mental rest phrases that I'll say, which is I want to acknowledge what somebody has said to me. Sometimes I don't always have commentary to add. So in my own case, I don't think I need any more Forgotten Chronicles. So I haven't participated myself, so I can't give give an anecdote myself to build on your own. But I will definitely say I don't say things are interesting that I don't think are interesting. Oh no, that's fine, Ben Skull, but it's good to say, because I don't like speaking negatively of named streamers. I do sometimes talk about some of the issues that I run into on Twitch myself, because obviously I'm not doing this for a living, it's a hobby. But I dislike the hyperbole in a lot of dialogue on Twitch. Everything has to be like the best ever. Things can't just be good or decent anymore. And there's definitely a strong tendency for people to, understandably want to get more viewers. But this sometimes translates into a certain disingenuousness as far as the way they talk to people. And so I don't think I'm going to change the world by doing this, but I would prefer to, especially when I want to make recommendations for games like Cultist Simulator and that, if I can't be trusted to speak my mind when it comes to what people say, so there was a case of casual racism in my mod Jesse Quill's stream, and I was pretty clear about what I thought of that and how lowly I thought of that. But the biggest thing is that if people can't rely on me to speak the truth when there's very little at stake, then why should they believe me when I say that Cultist Simulator is a great game? I mean, it is worth mentioning that I do have an interest in this game, right? Like, I've already kickstarted it. I'm already, you know, on the hook for the money for it, and I am going to enjoy whatever DLC is released. And so if the game does well, that means there's more DLC, which means the value of my original Kickstarter goes up. Now, I don't think you guys are dumb, so I just think it's pretty clear. Like, that's a very elaborate ruse. If I'm going to be so enthusiastic that I stream this game once a week and spend so much time on it and talk about it so much, you know, in order to maximize the value. Like, surely I can work minimum wage and get more of my value back. But I think it is very important, especially on Twitch, to say what you mean. And, you know, I don't know, like, I wouldn't want to be rude. I wouldn't really look at what's, I wouldn't really want to, like, look at what somebody said and say, oh, well, that's just stupid. Like, that's bad for other reasons. But yeah, Half Truth has figured it out. This multi-month campaign in the employ of Weather Factory. They pay me in bottle caps. But yeah, I think it's I would like it. I hope to behave in a way that's consistent. Oh yeah, I never did explain the backseating thing. Yeah, I used to yell at people because people really liked it when I would bring the Fury. But I don't think it's good when you're trying to showcase a game that people have given you a key for. So now I try to be a little more placid about it. But I do usually just straight up delete stuff. Like, if people tell me how to play it, they'll usually get like a small timeout or something like that, so I don't have to see it. Erudition. All right. The Painted River runs from a great chamber near the White Door far through the Mansis to its far edge where it enters the painted delta of Far Cloud. I voyaged half its length last night when a stern-faced captain beneath with a stern-faced captain beneath a rust-red sail. As the clouds rose before us, the sailors raised a yearning shanty and close hauled the sails to best use the painted wind. And all the while, the captain and I discoursed of the secrets of the House of the Sun. I shouldn't complain about erudition. That's normally very helpful for research, but it just wasn't what I was looking for at that moment. Okay, I've got my vitality, which means I can preserve a bit of cash. Oops. Okay, back there. Sacre bleu. All I need now is time. I'll add another forge just to be on the safe side. So I'm healing up. I'm working on my painting, so I'll have a little more cash, but I need to be careful about this. In fact, I'm almost thinking I should go back to Glover and Glover. Well, we'll see what happens with the summer, but I think I might actually go back to Glover and Glover for a batch, just to get my funds back up. Absolutely correct, Brother Goldberg. It's, I believe, specifically Maribeth Solomon, who composed the soundtrack. Actually, you know what? I do have spare paint, so Grey Dawn oil it is. So I think it's Maribeth Solomon specifically who cast this, but I think the full name of the group, I guess, is the best way to put it. There are devices in the city that defy the law of the land. There are a few that defy the laws of nature. Some are very dangerous. And we're safe across the treacherous ground, so then we'll get into a fight, and then we'll be okay. The thing you conjured has returned to its own place and will do you no more harm for now. Okay, well, that's good news. My followers returned empty-handed. Today's tasks were beyond them. Okay. Oh, fascination. Okay, so a truckload of mystique, some glimmering. Got the icy atmosphere back. Dread, notoriety, bitter atmosphere. Oh, 2 notoriety. I mean, not spectacular in terms of money, but not terrible either. So I need to deal with this notoriety before I go to work. The fascination will be dealt with the dread. So let's get Clovette back on the charm offensive. I've got enough money to survive. Alcair was not eaten, correct, Nepicross. I believe it is always probabilistic. Ooh, I got really lucky there. The fascination gobbled up the dread before. Oh, never mind. Multiple dreads. Okay, so definitely it's going to be a time to close off the expedition. We can go to Kersham later. I'm going to use the time to spend some time at the Ecdysis Club. I'm going to work at G&G for a while. I can probably upgrade my... Oh, that's not happening, no. I was thinking with enough glimmering I'd be able to upgrade it, but I think I've already done that. So I think I'm just going to let these things run their course. I'll continue to go to the Land of Dream. And I think Clovette's got a lot of work on her hands because there's never a guarantee that the notoriety gets gobbled up. Alright. But in the meantime, I can keep going through the stag door and we can pick up some more goodies. And again, can't go to work until I deal with my notoriety problems. But that should hopefully be dealt with. No Z stuff you haven't noticed, but Kennedy did say it takes place in London. I think he said that it's suggested that it takes place. I believe there's no official stance on where the game... Oh, the Watchers will regret standing against us. Yep, works for me. Oh, I can always add a sturdy disciple just in case. But you're right. Like, I think there are enough indications in here that this is London or a place very much like London. Maybe I've got one more mission for my summon. Treasure lies before us. Nope, no bad guys. Good news there. Sorry, gotta get my water. But yeah, so I think if you're talking about Z stuff, I believe Sunless Sea belongs to Failbetter. So in this case, there wouldn't be any direct references, which I would suspect also includes the music as well. This particular bit of music is actually, I think, Ligeti. Could you tell the difference between London and Paris? Photograph-wise, sure. Written descriptions, probably not. Although I do have a friend... I don't believe she's Parisian, but she is at the Paris School of Economics, so has to be there. And I do have a few friends who've been to and are from London, so I would feel like I'd feel like I could take my chances. Oh, quality of food, different cheese. You live 70 miles away from London and much further from Paris. How many people are eating fish and chips? That was my dinner, by the way. You gotta stream in character, right? Okay. I think we're just gonna keep going with what we've got here. Oop. I actually, while I'm at that, because I know we've got better Grail lore. Can't quite exalt her. Okay. I will need Grail to at least the 21st intensity. Yeah, so I'm going to need to find something a little bit more potent than a Whispering Amulet. Okay. well, Clovette can still do the charm offensive because she's just been gobbling up Mystique. I don't have any people I need to off, so it's not clear that I need to use the Furious Air right now other than in a painting. So I think I'm just going to let that wither on the vine as much as it pains me to do so, because I also think more paintings will get me more notoriety in general. City of the world, where painters draw their horrible things for the decadent rich, which then let through entities who drag off victims beyond the reach of history. Sounds more like Paris now that you mentioned Kalishtar. Could Germany or the Netherlands? I like the Netherlands a lot. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, you know I do sometimes do the system walks. So the Tulip Festival's going on right now, and we're given thousands of tulips from the Netherlands. I really like that festival. Alright, so that's going to be another notoriety that gets gobbled up. Maybe I do need to... you know what? I hate doing this. I'm gonna take the risk, though. So let's go for the icon of St. Agnes, and I think I can throw some lantern. Alright, more notoriety. Oh! So again, I mean, these are all ingredients. They're not exactly what I'm looking for, but they're not horrible either. And I do have a little money for my trouble, so. Okay, so we're gonna put the expeditions on hold. I'm gonna work through what I've got at the moment for my I'm sorry, my mind's going. Made in the Mirror will go away. I'll get rid of the notoriety. I'll get my funds up. So I'm basically going to be fulfilling commissions. I'm going to be finding more occult knowledge. I might even wind up selling some of the silver, iron, bronze, spinitra, just because, you know, there's no reason for me to be hanging on to those at the moment. But I think we'll start by going to the Ecdysis Club because I'm confident enough in my ability to get enough money to last me through. As always, I can just sell one of these things if I'm feeling a little too light. Painted River, which isn't terrible actually. If I get enough erudition, I can boost my skill scholarship. I did this the wrong order. Lights go down very gradually. As the performance ends, there is no applause. We each drift to the street, alone with our dream. I never noticed that the closed is actually hanging off the leg. I think that was added in the latest patch, and that's wonderful. Okay, so I've got more iron than anything, so we'll sell something of value, get a little bit of cash at the auction house, and the Wary Detective is on the board, which is why we're summoning the sharp-edged lantern thing. Now, again, if I don't generate too much notoriety, then I should be okay. And obviously if I kill him, that's going to generate notoriety, but that'll kind of put an end to it, so. The Hinter do not indulge themselves with shadowy entrances. A living gaze will shatter them. I know it's here, so that's enough for now. Then there's the Hint. The Hinter are most comfortable behind the scenes, behind the mirrors, behind you. They slide under doors and kill with glass, but they cannot survive the gaze of a living mortal. If I want, I can also use this in a ritual, if it really comes down to it. Let's get a little more... Well, actually, I can get a little more life out of this thing if I send it to explore the city, so let's do that. I can also use, again, I can use it as a tool if I need to. Tulips, another popular economics topic. Absolutely true, Rufus SRK. I actually started the so speaking of bubbles, nothing else related to tulips. But one of the casts I started Assassin's Creed Unity with was a Canadian short film about John Law and the Mississippi Bubble, which technically isn't really. It's a tough sell to say like it's the hardest connection you can make between the two, but I thought the mood was enough to justify its inclusion. I don't know why I keep doing that. I should be using reason at this point. All right, more erudition, but I only have 2. Sadly, I'm continuing to gobble up. Mystique more than anything. Despair abates, and what I'm going to be doing. Oh, I had a hireling. So I'm going to wait this out. I don't think I'm going to have a corpse in time, unfortunately, so that just means I get the notoriety for the murder. Optimism is the spice which saves, so Clovet is going to go back in the stack. And we will use the Weary Detective and then send the hint after him. And in the meantime, let's go back to Oriflammes for... Oops! I'm attending an auction rather than selling something. I'll go without my latest volume of Something Deep Mysteries. Do they ever realize you keep killing every detective that they send? Not everyone. There's a few who've made it out. Hooray! Forbidden Epic. Alright. So one of the reasons why I've been so insistent on picking... Oh, actually, I might get a prisoner out of this. So that'll be good as well. One of the reasons I've been so insistent about summoning is that the higher level explorations definitely get tougher, and so it'd be nice if I can throw basically like disposable things such as summons rather than cultists towards it, because I believe once you lose these guys, that's it. You are stuck. You're stuck sort of summoning whatever help you want. Fortunately, I've got it'll probably be a total of 3 notoriety that I have to deal with in the end. But yeah, that is something that can't be looked at. This is great. My minion is returned with a prisoner. All right, so I did gain notoriety for it. That wasn't a surprise, but I can go through the spider door now. Weary detective captured. This gentleman would much rather be left alone with his pipe and his illustrated London news, but he's mewed up in some wretched hole in the ground. Aspect lantern. So I mean, if I wanted to, I could do the Rite of the Watchman's Sorrow, and if we needed a sacrifice, well... Oh, that's lore, sorry. It's the Rite of the Crucible Soul. So, there we go. It's not a level 6 desire, though. So, let's say... No, that doesn't do anything. Surely the division... Anyway, you get the idea. I can kind of do whatever I want with the Weary Detective, but I think in this case I'm going to use them as an entrance to the spider door. It's 3:30 almost. Well, I mean, technically, I was going to... Well, I'm going to get... I think I'm going to let this notoriety go down, and then I'll use Clovet to get the more time-consuming one. Okay, so that's 2 funds for my trouble. What are we looking at? I've got 4 funds. I think I will sell one of the silver, especially because it makes a particularly ominous set. Let's go back to the Painted River. Fascination, but I wouldn't have gotten anything else cool, so... And looks like the Fascination's being fed in there. Now, it's kind of important... It is worth mentioning that, like, Fascination is one of the more devilish ones to deal with, because it's not clear, especially once I'm on my level of Ascension, it's not clear how I get dread in terms of, you know, of being able to knock this down. So it is something I want to keep an eye on. But in the meantime, I am going to go through the spider door. In my dreams, I know the path through the silken sands to the spider's door. If I slake its thirst by spilling fresh blood before I sleep, it will open to me. The spider's door is always thirsty, always. The blood I have given leaks and threads and spills through the skin of the world, and the door shrinks it, and a moment's satisfaction swells its opening until I can pass. All right. So commission-wise, let's do our very substantial commission on Lantern. Damn it! And talking-wise, we can satisfy Poppy and Jennings. I don't know why I'm reflexively pausing now, but... and again, I'm not entirely sure there's a lot that I can or want to study at the moment, so... Alright, so silver... Ooh, this might actually be good with my erudition. I might be able to upgrade my... So I'll have 3... Yes, so let's throw some reason into my study. I should have 4 erudition, which will allow me to boost my skills scholarship. Not entirely sure that'll give me anything that I'm gonna, like, do cartwheels over, but... Alright. That all works for me. And... Dr. Redeem, what can I... Ooh. I'm already writing your commission, I see. Do I have any other uses for the hint? The auction is complete. I gained a lot of money. Okay, I'm good with Oriflammes. I need to start finding dread. I'll most likely find dread by dreaming and just doing normal dreams. So what else do I want to do? There's nothing really I want to explore, but I will get the hint to explore just to let this run by. Alright, so I believe... so I need to... Oh, the peacock door. But yeah, if you take a look at this, right? It's much deeper in the Mansis than we've ever gotten. Now, I believe the favor from authority is timed now, 300 seconds, so I'm not going to use that. We can either go to the Mallory or the Chamber of Ways. Let's see. Can you apply the skills to actions? Yeah, so Stalker, I only just learned how to do painting last week when I streamed this. It wasn't intuitive to me, but I haven't found a use for scholarship yet. But Kadean had it right. All right, let's see what's in the Chamber of Ways. The wrong door. And it's a 15 knock, which is nice. There's a door that should not open, and even now its hinges are round. Okay, so I'm going to collect everything. Now I'm going to do here, I'm going to go through the spider's door. Now notice here we were able to dispose of a corpse without having to... we didn't really need to worry about the consequences in terms of notoriety, which was nice. So what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to use any of my... well, first of all, I don't have a body to send it. What I'm going to do here, I'll see... Ah, here we go. Glass garden, approaching the peacock's door. The light of the divided sun penetrates my dream, but not enough to thaw the long-dead frost blossoms from the glass garden. Each step I take crushes another plant to powder. I will step carefully. I have learnt the way. So in this case, my knock was high enough to get me through there, which is nice news. I feel like I have a lot less erudition than I thought I would, which is a shame. But yeah, I'm going to go through the spider door again just because I think it'll possibly be a little bit better at putting me into a nightmare. And then as far as talking, we'll have a chat with Clovette in order to try and get rid of this last notoriety. An overlooked place I might have found somewhere unusual. Okay, so I could go... I think I'll use the hint one more time. Lore of the Lantern's done. Again, the drawback here is that I haven't found any new books, so I don't have access to any new lore. If I really get desperate, I can always combine certain lores. So like basically Knock is like an absorbing state. I can sort of turn everything into Knock if it comes down to it. But the thing is that I'm usually going to want to use most of these. So I don't actually want to start switching things out unless they're secret histories, and you usually can't switch out secret histories. Hireling. It's professional muscle 5. It's not bad to have around, but I'd rather not use too many of my funds at the moment, so I think we'll cool it there. So I must have Oh, that's right. It was because I was assuming I was going to finish my commission for Adim, so I can still use that reason to get me where I want to go. Oh, police are on me. I believe this will finish before. Take it. No. No. Okay, that's okay. Alright, the Peacock Door, proud and shining amethyst, its glow tinting the snow-pale shapes of the glass garden. This is the highest point where mortals may penetrate the Mansis. No crack mars the surface. This is not a door, not a door that opens, although it is said many bleed light. Or it may bleed light. Okay, so I think that's as high as we're getting. In my dreams, I found the way to the Peacock's Door, sometimes called the Gate of Eyes or Pride's Dismay. So here I'm going to try the Spider's Door again. And again, because I'm not going to use the lore or the prisoner, this should take me down into a nightmare, I think. Yeah, I think that was from Jennings, now that you mention it. Anyways, we should still be good with erudition as long as I satisfy Adim's case. And I think what's going to wind up happening with this notoriety is I'm going to send you out again. I have a feeling I'm going to need to kill whatever inspector comes out of this. Did I miss something? Apparently I got a free... Oh no, there's the weary detective. I believe the hint will be available in time, so... Unfortunately, I'm going to have to just keep churning out erudition because I had to take on the weary detective instead. That probably wasn't very well thought out on my part, but... Sometimes you see people get dread off of painting. Does the influence matter, or is it random? Excellent question, Nepicross. I don't know painting well enough to say with certainty. I feel like malices like dread are generally a more random thing. But it would not surprise me in the least. Ooh, that's our second... Now I can slough off my flesh patch by patch, tugging the tendons free like fibers picked from my teeth. My skin lies like a shredded blanket. The sun heaves itself above the horizon. The triumphant battle yell. The light falls like acid on my naked bones. Pain wakes me. My bones will throb for days. So it's looking pretty dangerous for me. Oh, well... I was not paying attention, so I gained a free notoriety for nothing. Alright, let's go back to the realm of dream, because if I get another fascination, I am in deep doo-doo. Fleeting memory, moving time, another will be gone. Yeah, so, and this is the worst thing, is like, if I get dread now, it's gonna get sucked up by bleak thoughts. So it used to be that you could rely on not satisfying this desire to get dread because you'd get restlessness, but that's no longer the case. Oh, but here is that much needed restlessness. So this will trigger in 38 seconds. That will finish in 31 seconds. So we'll be one down here, but we're not out of the woods yet. And my erudition efforts were pointless. Rumpled fields, the wink of a river, a tingling chill. Alright, so my minion is returned with a prisoner. So more notoriety, but that's what Clovette's here to work on. She's like my Tom Cruise for my cult. And let's get... Alright, so much needed dread. Not quite sure what I'm going to do with the Weary Detective yet. Dreams of curios behind glass. The display cases... the display case is the impossible museum. I always see an apple white as snow and as hard as marble. A golden beetle in a stern box. A coy geometry awaiting my touch. A black envelope bursting with spring. A brass opera box for instruments of record and measure. A storm in a tin. I always wake before I see the aisle's end. If you guys have not seen the tweet from Alexis Kennedy that explains exactly where that writing came from, I highly recommend you look it up. It is very charming. Offer him to the spiders. That'll probably be where I go with it, but I'd kind of like to deal with my fascination problem first. I'm gonna have him for a while, so... possibly Kidane, but I've noticed at least the last time I tried it, it didn't consistently give dread. But you're right, I can give it a shot. This is one bad habit that I've actually gotten into in the game, is because something has worked a particular way in the past, I will usually make the assumption that it always works that way. But of course, the whole point of this isn't even really an early access game, but it is obviously a backer. It is like a backer version. The whole point is that things change and get better. So it could be the one thing that I haven't worked out in terms of a loop is how to deal with... Oh, well, Herschel's Nightmare will get me the dread I was looking for, so... Earnest speeches, affable conversation, so we didn't get what we needed, but we'll send Clovette into the social lion's den again. Alright. Strain... Let's keep searching through there. I remember that Herschel wrote of this. I've levered up floorboards and wriggled down snugly. Now I am compressed beneath them like a hidden corpse. The air stinks of hot dust. My mouth is full of splinters. This time I haven't learned what I hoped to learn, whatever that was. Okay. So there's probably no benefit for me exploring this area, but it, you know, I'll live. I'll probably go through the spider's door, but let's deal with the affliction first. I'll have that in 11 seconds. And once I deal with my notoriety problems, I will be able to go back to G&G. So my understanding, Brother Goldberg, is the desire comes up at random points, so I don't think I can directly... feed him. Like, I can keep him around, absolutely. The one reason I've not done that, I actually made a strong effort to get up to level 6 on that, and then it just, like, I didn't have enough Grail to sort of accomplish what I wanted out of it, so it wound up sort of being a bit of a waste. It wound up being a bit of a waste just in terms of all those resources. Like, I gave up a lot in order to be able to get those bodies, and then it's back down to 3 now just because I haven't been able to satisfy it. But once I get my Grail up and once I get a decent item, like, basically, I can't expect myself to be able to achieve the victory if I can't even upgrade my followers to to a higher level. All right. So again, I've got one more notoriety to deal with. As far as negative emotions, well, that's a straightforward one actually. That's just the Ecdysis Club. Can an unresolved ambiguity go even higher? Absolutely. So the best thing that you can use as an indicator, as long as there's space left in this ring, the lore can go higher. And I try to do as much of my playthrough on stream as I can, but I will let you know that when you get the top level of lore, it's actually a unique item. So you'll know you're there if basically it says that only one of this can exist. I think... Does Weary Detective count as that? No. Maybe Laidlaw? Nope. Apparently you can have multiple Laidlaws. There's got to be something that says that only one... Yeah, here we go. Unique can only exist once. It's just like the magic ability, basically. Okay, I'm gonna start buzzing through some of these locations. You are correct, except for the Rite of the Watchman's Sorrow, which does consume a lore sacrifice. And technically, you can say you kind of consume it in the sense that if you build it up, if I wanted to turn this Forbidden Epic into an unresolved ambiguity, actually, that's not a bad idea to do right now. It's not like I'm doing anything else with this study. But there's my contentment to deal with that dread. But yeah, so technically, leveling up, you can kind of consider that consuming lore, but not exactly in the same way that like you consume paints or something like that. Can you explore with scholarship or use the languages with scholarship to learn more? Ooh, that's a good... I have not checked that combination of scholarship and languages. Let's see if we can do that, because I have had some difficulty finding new languages. I'm gonna guess no. I think you usually need a book to look for that, but let's see. So we've got work and we've got exploration available. Skill scholarship is not highlighting any of those. Use this with 4 erudition to gain more reason. So at the moment, scholarship is only good for leveling up my reason. Let's see. But maybe something will happen with study. Okay, optimism is the spice which saves. So Clovette has done her duty. Now we'll consider what other talking options. Yeah, some of the names are also pretty telling as well. Let's see if I can find the Vanderschaft collection, a cramped little museum in a provincial town, long closed to the public since an outbreak of peculiar rapture in the room where they keep the pressed flowers. Only the very curious would ever pay attention to the place and its close warded storeroom of ill-omened treasures. So I don't think I have anything else I want to do with explore right now. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna digest my Forgotten Chronicles until I duplicate a location, and then we'll start working with either our our epics or unresolved ambiguities. And Dr. Adim, damn it, I need to keep my pyramid of verbs. And I can finally beg for my job back. My superiors must believe my contrition, use passion to convince management to return to work. But I am a board member, so... Oop, looks like I'm gonna... I don't get to go to the spider door. Looks like I got a little peckish. You may be right, Brother Goldberg. I don't have... I honestly am not... I don't have any confidence at all in my recollection. We'll find out in a minute, I suppose. All right, so this thing is going to keep gobbling up notoriety if I ever get it, so I'll try and keep my nose clean. That means no adventures while I am at the board. I am done. The satisfaction is deep as the moon in the sea. Another mark buds in me, so I've moved up to level 4. The 4th mark is the intermittent improvements to my skin, in patches along my arms, down my thighs. It is clear, soft, glowing, like the skin of a child new stepped from spring water, but only in patches. And I gain glimmering for that. So, no more trips to the spider door for me. But I guess I can go through the stag door. And yeah, so don't need to worry about Scandal for now. The Orthos wood. The pines grow thick as hairs on a dog's back. The airs of the inner wood are chokingly thick with resin and dust. The source that brought you here claimed that at the dawn times, the greatest tree at the world's black heart served as perch for the great masked crow. Hello, Jessie Quill. So Jessie Quill got a little bit of a mention a bit earlier, but as you will note, she is my mod. She is also a backer of Cultist Simulator. Did you go for the... Thank you very much for that host. How was The Walking Dead? I can't remember if Jessie Quill got the version of the game with all the notebooks on the USB drive or not. If she wants to out herself as a member of the 1%, I'll let her do that, but I won't force the issue. One thing I will actually do, because we're in a nice little spot as far as kind of working through particular tasks. I might take a minute just to do a few shout outs. I know I already shouted out Johnny Big Time, but one thing that I wish I could do a little, or I wish I was better at, was shouting out the people who auto-host me, because that's something that I really appreciate. Oop, another forbidden act. I definitely want more of those. Oh, damn it. But yeah, I definitely want to give a little more credit for the people who have been kind of doing these auto-hosts, because I don't always get to do it. I don't always get to thank them personally. All right, Fermier Abbey. Robert Fermier spent much of his unsavory fortune on the endowment of this monumental forest-crowned abbey. The monks dislike visitors. Their ways are not exactly orthodox. They celebrate a certain harvest festival with unsavory vigor. You did not get the USB. You wish you did. It's pretty. So let me just take a quick minute here, and I know this is going to be a bit of a pause. I'm going to do another Forgotten Chronicle just so I can get a nice little reserve here. So first thing I want to do is go through the people who are hosting me currently. I will definitely I'll take the time for Johnny and Jesse, because there's a lot more people here than before, and even if they're not Cultist Simulator streamers, I definitely want you guys to have a chance to get to know them, because one of the reasons why I enjoy doing this is sharing games with people. But people hosting me right now are Jessie Quill Custom Games, Yorkshire Bastard, Unknown Brigade, The Rambler 146, Mingo Duck, Malicide, Miss Ariella, Johnny Big Time, Nubisaur 42, Flowfi, Mr. Franz, The Dan Van Dam Show from Kilgore's channel, Inferno Fowler, and Ulster Fighter. I realize not a lot of that is a massive recommendation for you. Some of these people aren't necessarily streamers themselves, but one of the ways that you can help some of your favorite streamers, again, any attention that you give them, even if it's just something like a host, if somebody clicks on their name and you're on there, that's another person that will view you, and it's better than just having that be idle. So I really appreciate that. A couple people I want to shout out here. Rambler 146, I do not get to see a lot in this channel, and I don't always get a chance to see him. But he is probably one of the bigger streamers that I know. He is a big YouTube personality, over 100,000 subscribers. He used to do primarily Total War, and I don't think I get to take credit for it, but I definitely talked with him a lot about Paradox games versus Total War games, and he's gotten very involved with Paradox games. He's currently a participant in the YouTube Stellaris Streamer War. He does a lot of Hearts of Iron 4. He's really good at the Kaiserreich mod. He's definitely somebody who is able to have made YouTube a career, and I met him at a gamer bar in Vancouver called EXP. Just an absolute delight to talk with him, and he was great. It was a really nice chat that I had with him. So if you guys like the strategy stuff that I do, and I realize Cultist Simulator is usually here because people who are here for Cultist Simulator, people who are here during Cultist Simulator are here for Cultist Simulator. But Rambler is somebody I can definitely recommend if you like my strategy stuff. Johnny Big Time hosted us a little bit earlier, and again, Johnny Big Time, actually, I'm sorry to do this to you guys. I'm going to give you the half version of this, but if you guys go to the YouTube channel and you check out XCOM Intro, the best summary that I can give, one of the things I love the most about Johnny Big Time is his ability to find the fun in every game that he plays. You know what, I'm just going to let Cultist Simulator, the music's going to conflict a little bit, but this is a ramshackle operation. This is the best way I can introduce Johnny Big Time to you, is to actually show you some of his... Oh, Demonic Phil, this run started 2 or 3 weeks ago, actually. This is the same... So there's like a 7-hour video that I have, and I started this run halfway through, and I've just been really slow at some of these other details. So, but thanks for stopping by, Demonic Phil. Definitely everything of this playthrough is recorded, and this will be going live probably within 48 hours of me completing it. But yeah, anyways, Johnny Big Time is really open to just all sorts of games. He's got an amazing sense of humor, and this was a reimagining of the XCOM intro video that I did for Johnny Big Time. You'll have to deal with the Cultist Simulator music in the background, but I think you'll get the feeling.
Hello, Commander. In light of the recent extraterrestrial incursion, this Council of Nations has convened to approve the activation of the XCOM project.
You on drugs?
You have been chosen to lead this initiative.
What the fuck?
To oversee our first and last line of defense. Your efforts will have considerable influence on this planet's future. We urge you to keep that in mind as you proceed. Good luck, Commander.
Do you remember when you were playing the game? And you were like shooting aliens? Do you remember that? Like, do you remember when you were playing this game and you were shooting aliens and like you were hitting them and you were having a good time? You remember that? Well, fuck that now. We're coming at you hard with these giant fucking guys. And that's it. You're not, don't even look at them. Just sit there and take it.
So it's obviously not Cultist Simulator, but that is very representative of what you'll get at Johnny Big Time's channel. You guys don't always get to see me with my sense of humor, but if you do like when I get a little silly, you are going to have a great time at Johnny's place. Yeah, I love that video, Jeff. I mean, it's bad because I did it for me to say I love that video, but I am really pleased with how that turned out. So if you want more of that, do check out Johnny Big Time. I think he's one of the more talented casters that I know, who is definitely... His stream is fine, but I definitely don't feel that he has the audience that he deserves. I think he is definitely one of the more underappreciated casters that I know, just simply in the case that I genuinely think he should be able to make a career out of it if he wanted to. But of course, last but not least, we've got Jessie Quill. Jessie Quill is currently fundraising for St. Jude Children's Hospital. She went there as part of their big event, and she's been doing charity work both on other people's channels such as I Am Brandon, as well as just her own work as well. And it's maybe worth mentioning because you guys, there's quite a few of you here, and a lot of you guys are here for Cultist Simulator. So there's a few things that you guys should probably know about Jessie Quill and what you're watching right now. Jess was the first person to give me some advice in terms of streaming. She was somebody who really encouraged me to keep talking during games and to, basically, she liked the sound of my voice. She thought that was an edge that I had. And so as a result, she really pushed me down that path and really encouraged me to sort of leverage that, I can't even say it, that talent that I had, just that natural endowment that I had. And she's continued to give me advice and continued to be supportive of my stream. And so I, in one sense, obviously, coming to the end of a more experimental thing that I've done, which is to sort of follow the life of a Kickstarter project throughout the stream, I do somewhat owe Jess for her encouragement for getting me to this point. But it's also worth mentioning that she encouraged me to reach out to developers. That was how I originally got in touch with Paradox and things like that. So I don't think I would have I still would have backed Cultist Simulator, but I don't think I would have been as ready to approach the streamers. And nobody's mentioned that that secret thing on the upcoming Monday on the GOG channel. Nobody's mentioned what that is yet, but definitely your encouragement along those lines have also opened a few doors for me and have ultimately informed some of the content that I do. So she's somebody who has obviously helped me a lot in my own cast, and she's done so because she's got quite a bit of experience herself, both as a caster but as somebody who manages communities. And so all of these qualities that I mentioned come across in terms of her broadcast, as is evident from the one that she did today. She played The Walking Dead. She's great for story-based games if you enjoy that. And she was talking about a blog that she released because her background is in psychology. She went to Milady University, and she was talking about suicide on her blog. So a nice little charming subject. But no, she puts thought into what she writes. She does use the blogs go up as a subscriber perk originally, and then she will put them out into the open after a little while. And so these are all some people who, whether they share aspects of my own stream or whether they are people that I just enjoy quite a bit. As much as I enjoy sharing games, I also enjoy sharing people who I think are, examples of things that I would like to see more of on Twitch. And I hope you guys enjoy them as much as I do. I obviously cannot predict what your own tastes are, but I can definitely point you towards things that have been quite special for me. And I hope you guys, I really do hope that you guys enjoy it. All right, let's go back to the Dreamland through the stag door. So Jess, one of the things I was talking about that makes this game so pretty now, you can take a look at the Ascent and notice how all the cards you can use light up. It's such a beautiful touch. I like it so much. And Dr. Redeem would like the secret histories again. He's got an insatiable appetite for them. All right, so we're gonna keep. I'm gonna take advantage of this lull to just crank out some cash. And what else am I gonna do? Yeah, so I'm basically gonna queue up some locations to explore. I'm gonna keep investigating the stag door until we've got a nice stack of forbidden epics and unresolved ambiguities. This might be a difficulty for me because this might give rise to a lawman based on the mystique. Nope. I'm safe now. The meddler's attention must be elsewhere. A relief. Okay, so this is the unnumbered stones. Alright, let's go back to the Painted River. And we've gained erudition, which is not terrible. I'm gonna just... I normally like reading it. So one thing that's really important that I'm not doing a good job of on this stream I strongly recommend that you read, even if you've read it before. It really helps to read the text more than once, because there are secrets contained in it. There are implications, and just there are things that you will be happy that you double checked. Is the best that I can say, and it's very difficult for me to sort of. I don't want to say exactly which ones, but the further you go up this lore, the more you will learn about the game. And sometimes you need to have experienced certain things or have bumped your head against certain problems to be able to fully appreciate it. And again, this is... So once you beat the game, is this thing worth playing again? Yeah. Because there's a whole world lying underneath this thing that you've only got glances at. And by exploring different cults and by going through different ascensions and such, you're going to get a better and better idea. If you're one of these people who likes reading all the item descriptions in Dark Souls and figuring out what's going on, you have to be playing Cultist Simulator. This game was born for you. So, yeah, that's one thing. I'm not doing it just because I wouldn't make any progress if I did. But you guys have seen how many times I've gotten lost doing this, so, I leave it to you to decide whether or not that was worth it. All right, the Unnumbered Stones. The megaliths placed in obsessive, inerrant rows by priest casts long dead. Time has long erased the original bloodstains, but on moonless nights, the locals supplement what remains. Hidden chambers might guard hidden treasures. So I think what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to continue on my investigations for just cool new locations. I'm also going to move this unresolved ambiguity up. I'm sorry, I think it was it Demonic Phil who asked? I think I can find it here. Oh, I think Half Truth was asking. Somebody was asking about the higher levels. So now I'm definitely trying to move my my secret histories up. Because to get further unresolved ambiguities, I'm probably going to need to go to the Spider's Door and the Peacock's Door, and I can't keep working. I am on the board of Glover and Glover. Generally, if corpses show up at my house, shareholders are not too crazy about that. So I'm keeping it cool. I am going to try and upgrade the unresolved ambiguity, but let's take a look at skill scholarship. So if I put it on study, I've got a bunch of erudition, but that's all I can really use it for right now. So in the meantime, let's use the unresolved ambiguity. I'm probably not going to be able to move it up, but I'm just going to keep running at it like a lemming. And what else can I do? Let's take a minute. I'm going to use Furtive Truth to see if I can get any more bodies. Nipicross, thank you very much for that follow. And obviously this is long past when I said I would be finishing, but I'm enjoying it. We should be able to get a little more gameplay out of this. So I'm pretty sure we're not going to achieve Ascension tonight, but I am very seriously considering... So a couple things to keep in mind. Tomorrow the museums are free, and I didn't get to go through the whole World War II exhibit, so I'm really tempted to go back to the War Museum tomorrow. My TA friend also is still in town until the end of this week, so it'd be nice to go for coffee with them if they're free. So keeping in mind that I have some real life obligations that I need to attend to and would like to attend to, I would like to try and do some Cultist Simulator tomorrow, because obviously it's release day and it would be wonderful to share the experience with everyone. I'll obviously have a sign off on all of this at the end, like I'll have some things to say. Demonic Phil, thank you very much for the follow. But oh, really? Because it's the first time that I've done the pyramid verbs, but it was like a big 7-hour cast, so it's possible. It is one of the more popular videos that I've done on YouTube, and like I never have a popular YouTube video, so it's possible that you've seen it. Yeah, well actually, Demonic Phil, if you've not gone to the Weather Factory blog, weatherfactory.biz, I highly recommend it, because especially some of the chats with Sarah Gordon, where she's creating like those tarot cards and things like that, you're gonna love that. So, I'm really tempted to go for the Forgotten Chronicle, but let's go greedy and see if we can get something else at the Ascent of Knives. Failure! But yeah, so with that in mind, no promises, but I am going to do my best. If I can manage my day in such a way that I am able to, if I can manage my way in such, manage my day in such a way that I can get the, you know, I can go for coffee and maybe visit a museum, or I'll knock one of these things off. If I can put the time in for Cultist Simulator, I want to do it. I would love to do it. And if not, obviously, I hope you guys are as wonderful to the streamers who are casting it as you've been with me. But like I said, I'll save all that for the end of the cast. Okay, so my little heuristic here has just been to do these things in the order. So we've already been to the Forgotten Quarter like a million times with our occult scraps, so I don't want to use that anymore. We've used everything for Kersham, so unless I want to get another level 2 one, no point in doing that. We've just finished our Forgotten Chronicles, so the next one up is, I don't need you Forge people yet. So up next is for the Forbidden Epics, which I only have one of right now, but I'm going to work on getting some more of those, so let's explore that. And all the while, I'm just building up some finances so I can continue going on these adventures. So as long as I don't have notoriety, I'll be safe. And I've got an affliction. If I can, I'll study health to improve. Alright, so this time the research has failed, but I've learned the lessons of experience. So more erudition. How much longer? I am going to try one more crack because I've got 1 erudition, or 2 erudition, no glimmering, but a lot of resources to realize the inspiration, like any inspiration that I need for this study. I've got more resources available than I normally would, so I want to roll the dice on that. In the worst case with my affliction, I don't even need to use any foul magics, but just simply pay up for some medicine and I can heal myself. And I mean, even if I get some decrepitude, right? Like I've got 5 health, unless this affliction takes its toll. Equate to, okay, yeah, so a case of mistaken identity. I don't get anything with that. I'll get my furtive truth back. I'm just kind of keeping one of these things around for the sake of it. So there's no point in trying to recruit any more cult members. That's all done. I don't have any commissions that I finished, and I don't really want to do the commissions until I'm back on the exploration run. So we'll leave that be. We'll see what happens. I'll probably use the Ecdysis Club just to get rid of that dread, but I'm making a few commitments for things that I really shouldn't be at the moment. So let's go back to the Ascent of Knives. Oh, well, should have gone to the Painted River instead. And again, might as well go through the Stag Door because there's really, well, hang on. Let's think about that. Uncover locations in the land beyond the forest. Viavo's Citadel. In the days of the great power of the Turks, a man of power ruled here. Over many years, he has fed many thirsts until his own thirst overcame him. I have learned that both his treasures and his victims may remain in an untouched vault below the castle. Yeah, so let's go back through the Stag Door so we can find more of that. I can technically afford to do that 2 more times, but I'll probably go for the... Alright, so Ecdysis Club for sure, so I can get my contentment. And it wants glimmering again, so in this case I'll use... I'll probably use the health for the vitality. Oh, okay. A glimpse of something more at the Ecdysis Club. The dancers pass beyond the backdrops, cross them, seem to move upon their staircases and drawbridges. Their bodies become smudged with backdrop paint. A growl arises from the audience, the walls of the house. Alright, so what do I want to do here? I don't want to explore any of these things, so I'll cool it for now. So here we're just going to stay in a holding pattern until either this research finishes or until I can heal my affliction. I have a feeling I'm gonna spend money on the medicine now. Can I talk to my cultists using scholarship? I don't believe so, but I will double check for you, Firebird. Let's go back to the Painted River. Fascination. Well, that dread would have been helpful for that, but... Okay, so dimmed reason. Much needed money. So scholarship only, well, okay, I did not know that I could dream with scholarship, but apparently I need to use it in combination with something. I'm wondering if that's a quirk of the UI. So if I did, let's say, lantern would be the most likely aspect to... Oh, I don't have any lantern people anymore. Knock? Neville, you're the experimenter. So we'll talk and I'll try and put scholarship inside, but in this case they want annoyances, society, hunter, ingredient, or evidence. Although I'm a little curious, I can't remember what knock gives me if I send them on a mission, so this would be a burglary. My disciple can probably use their talents to harvest treasures from the unsuspecting. Attaboy, Neville. I hope we don't lose him. Alright, so we're making some progress on this, so we'll just pay up for the medicine. And in 10 seconds we'll get the Ecdysis Club. So it's very likely that I'm going to get this next level of... very likely I'm going to get this next level of Secret Histories. Have I done any big summons yet? I've done a hint. I've had... Voiceless Dead isn't really a big summon. And a Raw Prophet. I don't know if those... I'm not quite sure what... those were big enough to try and eat some of my disciples. So that might... I count that as a big summon, but... no point not to be going to work. I probably was falling asleep there. I've purchased pleasure. I reel home in the ungodly hours and collapse into bed. Ooh, the law is on me. They're going to take the Mystique, but I don't think there will be... Oh, wait, Mystique doesn't get eaten up anymore, I don't think. Well, I can shut up. Fleeting memory. All right. So let's take a trip to the Stag Door, and let's see if we can find any influences that will allow me to summon some scary stuff. Now, if I want... Ooh. Uh-oh. Breaking, entering, returning. My follower has returned with their haul. This will be good in terms of the haul. This will be very bad because I believe I am no longer able to work for a living. Ooh, that money was not worth it. Weary detective, you say. Alright, well, we'll see how this goes. At least I'll get to the spider door again. Oh, damn it. Rumors of my esoteric interests have reached the ears of the Elder Glover. This has left my position uncertain. If you don't attend to this job regularly, you might suffer a demotion. The days are past when I could head home after lunch. My colleagues have begun to suspect what I am. They know nothing of what I could be. Okay. So yeah, I need to straighten up and fly right. We'll still go through the door. But what we're gonna do here is I'm going to see if I can summon something nasty, and then once I start committing some more unspeakable... Ooh, here we go, the Vagabond's map. So looks like level 14 is the highest you can go. Made in the Mirror, yes, thank you, Kalishtar. I couldn't remember what it was. That could be true, or it could be that I was, the suspicion was in a different game, because they are starting to blend together for me a little bit. I have a laptop that I play this on as well. Alright, I've increased my knowledge of the secret histories behind the one that we know. So, the Vagabond's map. The Vagabond is the 1 hour who can never enter the Mansis, but she goes everywhere else. And if you believe her boasts, she's the only one that knows all the histories. Sometimes she lets someone record her travels. Exploring with a scrap of knowledge may uncover secret locations in the lone and level sands, far from here. Now, of course, the drawback with that is if I tried such an expedition, I very likely would not have the strength. What I'm looking for with expeditions is either so I need to upgrade someone to a seer, and for that I'm going to need a higher level of Grail, or I need to upgrade my Grail. One way I could possibly do that, just to give you an example, so this tells us what right, so Grail turns into Moth. Moth doesn't turn into Grail though. Moth turns to Lantern, which would actually kind of be helpful, but Winter turns to Heart. Oh, Heart turns to Grail. So the really roundabout way... Oh, hang on. No, I'd have to do the same level Heart. Oh god, so like I'd have to break this down, study it with Heart, upgrade the Heart, then the Heart and the Grail, and then I could turn the Grail to the higher level, and then I would just hope that I don't need to use Heart anymore, but that's not true, so... So I think I'm just gonna tough it out, and we'll see what we get exploration-wise from... We'll see what we get exploration-wise from our trip, and then I think... I mean, I'm doing okay for funds. I'm at 24, so I think what we'll start doing is summoning some nasties, getting rid of the wary detective, starting to go into the spider's door, and also embarking on our foreign adventures. Erudition. I didn't sign up for this. Fortunately, the fascination looks like it's gonna die out, so... Just trying to think if there's anything else I can do. I don't want to use the Ecdysis Club too much, because if I do, it's possible that I will, I'll get a notoriety, which will end my career there. So I think we're just going to be exploring the Land of Dream for a while. But there are worse ways I could spend my time. Although it makes me think that this is not necessarily a terrible time to end the playthrough. I'll give it a little more time. It's 11:20, so I can probably record the thing I wanted to do by the end of the night, but I'm gonna have to give up on some of my more nerdy habits I was working on. We'll go back to the Painted River. Hooray, a forbidden epic. Okay. Now I need to double check Land Beyond the Forest. I believe this is a Land Beyond the Forest, so I want to use this Forgotten. Yeah, so we've explored this. We're going to finish these. We've maxed out these. We're currently exploring these. So this is the one that goes to the exploration. And we're going to go back to the Stag Door, employing reason. And again, just keeping it G&G to get the money up. If I really needed to, I could just kind of paint the night away But that would obviously generate just I'd go bananas with the notoriety, and I don't see the real benefit in. So I see that as an option. Like I think it's completely viable to support yourself through writing and painting. But at this point, G&G is just such an efficient way for me to generate money. Like you can remember there's a point in this playthrough where I was down to 4 wealth, and it's just sort of like, okay, well, I need to explore all these locations anyway. So it's like, it's a nice little rest. I can set aside some money to sort of finance my otherworldly activities, and we carry on from there. So again, I should be going for the Forgotten Chronicle because I can always study it up. My study area is available, but I'm getting full greed. So Ascent of Knives. Well, the Furious Air will let me possibly summon something crazy, so I think we'll cool it at work for a bit, and we'll go back to the... Alright, and we have found Grunwald's Permanent Circus. A tiny city of patched tents around a whitewashed farm, hunched performers shiver in the dripping rain. Frau Grunwald has devoted her considerable fortune to the maintenance of this institution. Who knows why? Sorry. This is the wrong one. Who knows why, as the circus performers dislike trespassers behind the scenes. Alright, well, might as well just study the health because I don't have anything else I can do with it here. Let's go for the right. So I've got a big stack of edge. Reason's glory. As above, so below, reason and passion contend in the human soul. As the glory lights the darkness of the wood, this mystic discipline will transform passion to reason. You know what? I'm quite content with the way all this is going. Thank you. So I'm pretty sure we're doing the summonings. So I put knock here. I can do lantern for the hint. I don't think heart's going to give me anything exciting. Creature with Thunderskin. The percussant, merciless and merry. Heart will bring it, edge will constrain it. I actually haven't summoned this thing yet. And I seem to remember the card for it's pretty wild. And then winter will give me... Oh yes, the Maid in the Mirror. The Maid in the Mirror was a really fun one. But I kind of want to see what... I can... Exactly, Kalishtar. I do kind of want to see what this looks like. I think I know which one it is, but I want to see for sure. All right, so we lost our goodies. It's entirely possible I'll be able to do more summonings. The other important thing too is, like, as long as I'm willing to give up an item, or if I'm willing to give up like a captured, like a prisoner or something like that, I don't really want to give up any disciples, just because that's they're in short supply. Again, greed tells me I'm not getting the Forgotten Chronicle, so we'll go to the Painted River. Oh, it paid off. Back to the stag door. Ah! First the thump, the rattle, the cry of the ceremonies. It attends in the wood. Now here it is, shouldering its way through the world's skin, like a clawed and ruthless uncle or a headless flapping bear. Percussigant. Percussigant, it loves the Sistrum's shiver, it loves the thrum of the tympanos, it recalls with fondness the flaying of Marsyas. And so it will not stop dancing. Let me just take a second here. Royalty-free techno. I feel like I need to do some kind of a dance party with this thing. All right, so eventually we're gonna set this up with a meeting for Monsieur Weary Detective. In the meantime, I really should be doing a work on the secret histories. So difficulty or risk of demotion. The funny thing about this is it says it's a risk of demotion, and yet I've never really actually had a credible fear that I was going to get demoted. I always seem to be able to talk my way back. So I mean, I'm just going to work on my, I'm just going to live off my savings. So it's really tempting to do the subtle rupture here, because that will give me another influence to summon stuff with. But as always, I do kind of want to see if I can get some more exploration objects. Bitter atmosphere. Well, we should still be able to make something out of that. So in this case, we're going to use the affliction and the vitality to recover. And I don't have a summoning to do. So what? I'll wait for him to finish his job. Yeah, I think the rest of this is just hanging out for a bit. Shall hold your head in its claw paws and enjoy your feeble flailing as you try to strike back. This is a really well done card. I like this a lot. Alright. Could we have a chat? My minion is powerful, the hunter is unlikely to survive, but the attempt will draw attention. So now I'm going to be back into studying mode. I think I can sell my silver. By the way, if you ever wanted to know what a Grail coin looks like, they know what they're doing. Alright, Commission of Winter is up next. Am I gonna get banned on Twitch for highlighting that? Hey Chalk, just finished watching my 6-hour video of the game. You're happy to see me streaming it right now. Yeah, sadly I'm not going to be going 6 hours this time, Duxel. I really appreciate that though. This is the same playthrough. We're still carrying on with Constantine's story. But I am getting close to the end tonight. I really appreciate you mentioning that though, because there have been a few people from the YouTube videos who have been they're tougher than they look. A hunter who survives a physical attack will somehow become more tenacious. Tenacious hunters are harder to kill. Well, you know what? I'm gonna have a talk with you, sir. Hint at the glorious lore. There are finer things than we can see. You must have felt it. Consider the possibilities of eternity. This may fascinate the hunter, but will always increase your own fascination, which is a pretty dangerous one for me to get, but I don't want to get my dread up because I'm already suffering that. Yeah, so a few people have mentioned that they come from the YouTube stuff, which is really cool. And I put an introductory video on now just to sort of say, I see you all. I know the VOD format is not the... Hang on. Oh, I screwed up. I'm going to the spider's door when I shouldn't be. Auction's complete. We got a truckload of money, so we're happy there. But I'm not ready to go on missions anymore because I lost my summon. Yeah, so people have kind of been letting me know that that's where all this, all this attention came from. It's really great to hear that, just because, again, while I'm not a primarily, like, I'm not a main YouTube streamer, it is good to know. Oh god, I made him a super. I made him a super detective. It's kind of good to know where people are coming from, because it just gives me opportunities to prepare some material that's a little bit more in line with what people are expecting. So you actually came from the introduction video. You're looking more up-to-date videos and found that. Yeah. So it's what we're playing right now is slightly different from the one that you saw, because the game is now, what you get on Steam is the release version. Now, that doesn't mean that you can get the release version right now. If you didn't kickstart the game's still behind the invitation to wishlist it. But one of the big changes that I like a lot, so if you look at study, so, oh, what do I want to study? Well, I can click and I can take a look up here, but notice how many cards just lit up by clicking on that. It's a really great little feature that I like that they included that. You wonder if the expansion will introduce hunters that utilize arcane powers to go after you, since... Yeah, that's actually a good question. What if I told you that somebody in this channel will be having a conversation with the creators of the game? There is an AMA, actually, coming up. So there's two possible places where that can come through. There's something on GOG, which is coming up, and there is the AMA that's coming up tomorrow. So if you guys want to ask questions like that, do check Reddit. Do go on their if you go on their Twitter accounts, at Factory Weather, at Tron Bevan, or at Alexis Kennedy, they will almost certainly announce the time when that goes live. Can you study patrons? I do not believe you can. Oh, well, it says you can. Oh, man! If you need to learn Aramaic, here's one who will help, but I'll need... I'm fine with that. Okay, so apparently Dr. Redeem... Well, it's better than nothing. Be sufficient. What about iron? Silver? Yeah, right.
I would never want to belong to any club that would have someone like me from them.
I always thought I got that through a yeah, I always thought I got... This is a great example of just me assuming certain things about the game, because I know previously I don't think I could study with these guys. Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons I was putting so much effort into, Dreams in the Rain. I dreamt of the rain whispering in the eaves, tapping on the windows like an old friend, hissing prankishly in the chimney. It is difficult to be unhappy in the right kind of rain. This is one thing. So one thing I will say, please do not follow what I've done in previous videos, because one thing that you will do is you will get trapped in a way of playing this game that was true in, like, the early alpha. This is actually one of the biggest things that I need to unlearn, is my tendency to just, like, mindlessly run into old ways of doing things. Let's get some of these commissions done. I can use the fleeting memory for a ritual, but I don't think 2 moth gets me anything. Okay, this is going to be remarkably helpful because I've got a bunch of Aramaic tomes that I've wanted to get through. And I might also be able to raise my scholar, but in the meantime, where are my Aramaics? I think that's, yeah, figure in. I should go through the patch notes and see if it was announced that you can do that. That will be a little embarrassing if it was, but that's part of the fun of playing this game is discovering little... Alright. Lock the study door, the work begins. So this is the account of Kanishk at the Spider's Door. Laukaul, Kanishk's victim and lover, wrote this account, perhaps posthumously. Okay, guys. I realize that we just discovered something on this, but that doesn't mean that the doors are open for backseating. Like, I know it's frustrating to see people not get stuff, but like, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to call it for tonight because it's 11:30. So this actually brings me to something that I wanted to mention in terms of the streams, which is I've generally been very happy with the feedback that I've gotten and the way people have behaved. I'm going to strongly recommend that unless a streamer actively says, I don't understand how this works, could somebody help me? Even though it seems like there's no possible way they're ever going to get it, do resist that urge to tell them how to play the game. Because I can guarantee you the feeling of getting it, that feeling of working through the logic of the game and seeing how it works will be much more enjoyable to them and will be the thing that they are talking about months down the road. And I understand the feelings very, very well that you get when you see somebody not doing things. I was watching a guy playing Nowhere Prophet, and he just constantly I mean, I think he was kind of trying to show off a little bit in terms of what he was doing. But like, I was just like, I kind of want to say, just do this. Like, you don't need to make a big deal out of it. And I didn't, because that's feedback that both the developers will work with, but also it's just one of these things that the enjoyment of the game is the process of discovery. And to give away something how it's done reduces the game down to a series of motions in terms of cards. And in the end, the game isn't quite as fun for that. Now, again, that's not a broad statement. Again, the emphasis I want to give on that is that I've generally been really, really happy with the way that the streams have gone through. But with that in mind, I did want to take a second and say thank you to everyone for... I do want to take a minute and say thank you for everybody who's been watching. We've got a very healthy turnout watching this right now. We're obviously on the dawn of... oh, thank you very much, guys. You're very kind. I will thank every one of you in chat, but I do want to just give a bit of a sign off to this, because obviously I've been able to rely. I was lucky. I found this game early on. I've been able to stream it. I've tremendously enjoyed it, and to see that Weather Factory is populated by these really great people just makes me that much more enthusiastic about seeing the game succeed. But a really important thing that I need to recognize as well is that I've had a big advantage in the fact that they closed the door on the Perpetual Edition until release. And so I've also been relying on the fact that I've been one of the few games in town that people can watch. And so it is, again, as I said at the beginning of the cast, it's really exciting that there are going to be people who have bought the game and love it and want to stream it, and just bigger casters and more talented casters covering it. And I'd really encourage you guys, you're probably going to already, but I definitely say, please do check them out. Please give them support. Let them know that you like this game, if you like the way that they cover it. I specifically want to say that the feedback that I've been getting, especially the stuff that's encouraging me to do it, has resulted in me streaming this game more. And so I wanted to convey that because, again, discoverability is hard for it's hard for smaller games. Fallout just did a big announcement, so obviously there's a bunch of nerves in terms of whether or not that's going to eclipse the the news of Cultist Simulator coming out. And so again, if people are streaming, even if they're brand new streamers or they're people who've been doing it for a while, letting them know that this is content that you like is something that's going to keep the game on the Twitch lists. It's going to be something that more people have an opportunity to discover it. There are going to be people with different takes on the game, people who play it a little bit faster, don't go on so many tangents that I do. There's going to be more opportunities for people to fall in love with this game. Some other ways that you can help out this game at the when it gets released tomorrow, feel free to stop by with the AMA and let the developers know that you love the game that they've made. Definitely buy it. If maybe you have a friend that you might want to give it to, make a lot of noise. If you have a Twitter account, say that Cultist Simulator is out. I don't care if you use my affiliate link or not. You can go just straight to the Steam page, because the more people who buy it on Steam, the higher it goes up those levels. Make people know. Whenever I've done charity streams, I constantly badger people about it, because that's what it takes. But I can definitely say it has been a lot of fun to be getting to be hearing that people have been digging the Cultist Simulator content. It's something that has meant a lot to me, and so one great way you can support the game is to continue to be so excellent to the other people who stream it. And whether they're really established casters like Scott Manley and Call of Cthulhu, or whether it's somebody who's just streaming for the first time and they want to play this weird Cultist Simulator game, to let them have those experiences of discovery, to support them and say that, you know, if as long as you keep streaming this, I'm going to keep showing up. These are all things that will make people feel really great, and in the end, I can tell you from my perspective, it has definitely been the difference between whether or not I've cast Cultist Simulator or something else. So thank you very much. It's been fun, and I obviously hope that you guys still stick around, but I also understand I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and if somebody does the game better than me, it is proper that somebody go and watch that person otherwise. I usually expect, when a game gets released, just like Stellaris, that there's going to be a bit of a drop-off in terms of the viewership or something like that. All that I would ask is that you guys take the enthusiasm of the game and that you make all the streamers that you watch feel as good as you guys made me feel. I will take a minute here and say we've got, so Duxel, Kalashar, wait a minute, I'm counting, Kadean, Demonic Phil, Kalashar, Stalker, 115, Brother Goldberg, Firebird, Duxel. All right, I think I feel like I'm repeating a bunch of people, and I know I'm bleeding viewers. So thank you very much, guys. Your words mean a lot, and I'm gonna keep. I don't quite know what the schedule for Cultist Simulator is gonna be. I'm gonna do my best to stream it tomorrow. I'll say that on Twitter for sure if I can. But there will definitely be more of it coming down the road. There'll be more on YouTube. There'll be more here, and I'll see if I can get a regular schedule going on that once I have a better idea about some of my other streaming commitments, including Nowhere Profit by Martin Erikar, who did the UI. Okay, so let me just take a quick look. Kind of bummed you to get to see the new starts. You can see them tomorrow. Absolutely, Stalker. Well, the other thing, so it would be cool to do the Physician, but I thought it would be better to make some progress on here. So I know I didn't give as much, but there will be a fresh playthrough. Don't worry about it. I'll figure a way to work it out. Let me just take a quick look at what's going on here. I'd love to host someone. You know what? I always like the scrappy underdog, so we are going to host Alivard TV. It looks like they are an affiliate, but they've got about 5 people watching them right now. So there is a bigger streamer, WX Life. Looks like they are a more experienced streamers. So there are a few people streaming Cultist Simulator right now. And in this case, I'd love it if you guys can come along and make Avalard have a good stream. At least give them the boost in terms of the viewership. So thanks everybody. I don't know this person, so you don't need to use the system talk raid message, but I am gonna put his link inside here. So just a reminder, you do not need to say the "we're tired of system talk" thing. This is just so you can know what his link is. He's playing Cultist Simulator. I'm gonna host him tonight. Have a good one. See you guys on release. I'll probably see you in the Reddit AMA. Make a joyful noise when this thing is released, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good one.